Chapter 536. Boom, boom, boom. Dark clouds appeared in the sky and shrouded the entire 10,000 formation altar. At that moment, all the formation masters in the 10,000 formation altar were shocked. They clearly saw that when Ning Tian snapped his finger, the array in his hand instantly broke. What? The array that we spent so much effort to create is actually broken? Gongsun Shang, who had a smug look on his face, instantly changed. He looked at his feet helplessly. The array that he was so proud of couldn't even withstand a single blow. At the side, Zhuge Qinglian's pretty face was filled with seriousness. Her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian. Her eyes wandered, but her mind was filled with doubts. Who was this person? Boom. At that moment, everyone was confused. The array in their hands kept disappearing and condensing into a beam of energy that landed on Ning Tian's hand. At the same time, the array that shrouded the 10,000 formation altar became stronger and stronger. He is using the power of our array to strengthen himself? When they saw this scene, the tens of thousands of formation masters had a strange look on their faces. This is, on the 10,000 formation altar, Di Tian narrowed his eyes. His wrinkled face was filled with seriousness. He looked at Ning Tian and muttered to himself, using your own array as the array core and using other people's arrays as the array core. In this case, even if your array is too weak, you can use other people's power to become the strongest array. Also, just now, everyone was unable to create the array. Could it be that we are in his array domain? With his permission, everyone can create the array. However, this is also within his calculations. He is using everyone's array as the array core. At this point, Di Tian's face was filled with horror. It was as if a storm had set off in his heart. He had studied the Tao of array for hundreds of millions of years. However, he still hadn't comprehended the strongest array domain, which was the array domain. It was said that those who grasped the array domain could create an array with a raise of their hand. They could also break any array in the world with a flip of their hand. At that moment, everyone's horrified eyes fell on Ning Tian, who was controlling the lightning with a raise of his hand. The power of the array was constantly circulating under his feet. What is he doing? Gongsun Shang's face paled. Let me see how strong this formation is. Inside the heaven and earth array that enveloped the entire 10,000 spell array altar, Ning Tian activated the mini-array in his hand. A faint smile appeared on his face, and a glimmer of light flashed through his eyes. The information that just entered his mind was the collective silence card. Silence first, then invincibility. Silence everyone, and then use everyone's formation as a formation. Not only did I silence you, but I also used your array to shape my own array after I silenced you. I was able to unleash the power of murderous intent to the extreme. Boom, boom, boom. As Ning Tian pressed down with the power of the array formation in his hand, the sky and earth shook. A boundless power suddenly blasted towards the 10,000 spell sacred altar. That power seemed to want to destroy the entire place. Not good. Get out of the way. Seeing that, how could Gongsun Shang, Zhuge Qinglian, and the others possibly dare to stay where they were? However, before that aura descended, they immediately moved. Damn it! Could he dodge or not? Was he courting death? Ancestor, aren't you going to stop him? The 10,000 spell sacred altar will be destroyed by him. Seeing that, the few people from the myriad elephant palace who were on the high platform could no longer hold themselves back and hurriedly spoke to Di Tian. It's fine. Di Tian waved his hand. However, his eyes were blazing as he looked at the huge array formation that was descending. He slowly said, the 10,000 spell sacred altar has this god's array formation. It won't be a problem for it to take on this attack. Moreover, it would be a pity if I don't witness the power of this array formation with my own eyes. Yes, ancestor. Hearing that, the few people from the myriad elephant palace could only nod their heads slightly. They were trembling with fear when they saw the power of the array formation. Could the ancestors' 10,000 spell sacred altar really withstand it? Sigh. At the side, Di Wuji sighed softly. Following that, he took out a small book and seemed to be calculating something. Wuji, what are you doing? Tion frowned and looked over. Ancestor, I'm just calculating how many spirit coins it would take to rebuild the 10,000 spells sacred altar. Diwuji had always been calm. Therefore, he had already started calculating the cost of rebuilding the 10,000 spells sacred altar. This was because he knew that the person who cast this array formation was the ancestor. Tion. Ancestor, the array formation is descending. F***ck. F***ck. What a huge golden light. At that moment, the few people from the myriad elephant palace suddenly shouted. There was a hint of panic in their voices. What are you panicking for? Look at how ignorant you are. Isn't it just a little golden light? Don't tell me that it can destroy this god's 10,000 spell sacred altar? Seriously. Tion looked as if he expected better from them. Then, he turned his head and looked over. F***ck. F***ck. What the hell is this? At that moment, Tion's intestines turned green with regret. He saw. The moment he turned his head, the array formation exploded. Golden light filled the sky and illuminated the entire 10,000 spell sacred altar. Following that, the array formation below the 10,000 spell sacred altar was also assimilated and turned into a force that blasted over. Tion's eyes widened when he saw this scene. F***ck. This god's defensive array formation was assimilated by this array formation and turned into a destructive force. Wow. Golden legend. Seeing this scene, the few people from the myriad elephant palace widened their eyes. What the F***ck is golden? This god's 10,000 spell sacred altar is gone. F***ck. Tion's heart ached. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Ancestor, don't panic. I'm here. At that moment, a hand landed on his shoulder and a calm voice sounded in his ears. Tion turned his head and looked at Diwuji. Wuji, you're still the best, however. Before he could finish his sentence, Diwuji's voice sounded again. Ancestor, I've calculated. Rebuilding the 10,000 spell sacred altar will only cost about 300 billion spirit coins. It's not expensive. F***c. At that moment, Tion cried out loudly. Boom, boom, boom. The golden light fell, and the entire 10,000 spell sacred altar was drowned in the golden light. Waves of dust flew up and a series of explosions sounded continuously. Around, tens of thousands of cultivators stood in the void and looked at this scene with lingering fear. If this attack landed on their heads, the consequences would be unimaginable. Roar, roar. Not far away, the ceiling flame lion king in the sky roared excitedly. The ancestor was indeed the ancestor. He said that he wouldn't destroy it, but he destroyed it the moment he arrived. What a terrifying attack. Old Su broke out in cold sweat and couldn't help but sigh. At the side, Luo Wuqing's expression remained calm. Below, in the 10,000 spell sacred altar. Oh no, it should be a ruin now. The 10,000 spell sacred altar no longer existed. When the thick layer of dust dissipated, a figure quietly appeared. Instantly, everyone's eyes narrowed. He was actually safe and sound after this attack. Ahaha. Sorry, this is my first time using an array formation. I didn't grasp it well. After the dust settled, Ning Tion's soft laughter resounded in the surroundings. Chapter 537. For a moment, after a moment of silence, the surrounding cultivators gritted their teeth and glared at Ning Tion. This brat must be deliberately angering them. You're telling me that this is your first time using an array formation? Are you kidding me, or are you playing with me? The first time he used it, he flattened such a huge 10,000 formations altar and even created a few large pits. This is his first time using it? It was already good enough that their first array formation could destroy a small tree branch. And this brat, his first time using it, blew up the 10,000 formations altar that was hundreds of thousands of square meters. Was this reasonable? However, they really misunderstood Ning Tion. This was really the first time he had used an array formation. This time, the system only gave him one method, and the rest were all based on his own understanding. Hiss! He actually destroyed this god's 10,000 formations altar. Tion swallowed his saliva. Other than the pain in his heart, he looked at Ning Tian with more shock. Now, I should be the winner, right? Ning Tian stood on the ruins and raised his head slightly. The sun shone on his face, and he revealed a harmless smile as he looked at Di Tian, who was not far away. At this moment, no matter how kind this smile was, everyone felt strange because this seemingly harmless young man in front of them had personally blown up the entire 10,000 formations altar. You. Who exactly are you? There is no array formation expert like you in the Central Star region. Di Tian looked at Ning Tian with a serious expression. Even his tone had changed. The moment he said that, the surrounding gazes of Gongsun Shang, Zhuge Qinglian, and the others all looked over. The attainments of formations displayed by this young man were far, far stronger than theirs. Even the arrogant Gongsun Shang had no choice but to submit at this moment. Me? He's just a nobody, Lin Feng said. Ning Tian chuckled and said casually. The ancestor was not someone who liked to act cool, so he planned to run after acting cool. How exciting. A nobody? Di Tian rolled his eyes. However, at this moment, a gentle breeze blew past, causing Ning Tian's black clothes to flutter. The ancient tablet on his waist also emitted a faint glow under the sunlight, instantly attracting everyone's attention. That is a heaven-word ancient tablet. At this moment, the wind stopped, and everyone was stunned. Everyone stood rooted to the ground as if they had been petrified. His mind raced, and he finally came up with 2 words: Heavenly Palace. In the realm of the gods, who didn't know about the Heavenly Palace? Although Heavenly Palace didn't often appear in the eyes of the people of the divine realm, it still didn't change the fact that Heavenly Palace was one of the strongest forces in the divine realm. And the Heavenly Ancient Tablet was the best symbol of the Heavenly Palace's people. No one dared to doubt the authenticity of this ancient tablet because no one dared to fake it. He is from the Heavenly Palace. He also knows how to set up formations, and that lion. And the young miss of the fire domain. He is the patriarch of the Heavenly Palace. Di Tian's mind raced, and after connecting all the dots, he came up with such a conclusion. That day, when he brought the experts of the Myriad Elephant Palace to the fire domain to investigate, the lion that he met was probably the one in front of him. The patriarch of the Heavenly Palace. The patriarch of the Heavenly Palace who recently rose to fame. So it's him. The patriarch of the Heavenly Palace built a heaven and earth great array that covers the entire fire domain. I didn't expect that we would be able to fight with such a powerful person. This is simply the fortune of 3 lifetimes. To be able to fight with such a powerful person, even if I die, I will have no regrets. SK. Damn, you want to die just because you said so? At this moment, everyone around was excited. The haze of losing to Ning Tian was swept away, and they were more excited. Losing to such a powerful person was also a kind of pride. Gongsun Shang and Zhuge Qinglian looked on with complicated expressions, especially the former. He looked down on Ning Tian so much just now, and now his face was flushed red. Sigh. Today's wind is really noisy. Ning Tian stood on the ruins and sighed. He didn't know where the wind came from, but it insisted on him acting cool. This feeling was very annoying. You have completed the Dare Challenge. Reward, Heaven and Earth Locator. You have shocked Di Tian. You have shocked Gongsun Shang. You have shocked Zhuge Qinglian. You have shocked a group of nameless cultivators. Reward Talent Skill, Formation Eye. Introduction. The host can use the Eye of Array to see through all array formations and analyze the array's weakness, strength, and blueprint. In his mind, the system's voice sounded. The Heaven and Earth Locator was already lying quietly in the storage ring. As for the Eye of Array, it can see through all array formations? Ning Tian muttered. The system didn't reward him with the Tao of Array formations. It seemed like he still needed to comprehend it himself. His current Tao of Array formations was completely at the entry level. It was all based on the experience he gained from using the array formations given by the system. However, now that he had the Eye of Array formations, it should be easier to comprehend the Tao of Array formations. Heavenly Palace's Ancestral Master. At this time, Di Tian's voice slowly sounded and landed on Ning Tian's body. His tone became respectful. He couldn't see through Ning Tian's cultivation, but he knew the strength of the 9 Supremes of the Heavenly Palace. The young man in front of him was called the Heavenly Palace's ancestral master. His strength must be on the same level as the 9 Supremes of the Heavenly Palace. However, the reason why he had such a misconception was because a certain little lion wrote the words Heavenly Palace's ancestral master on that day. You don't have to call me that. Just call me ancestral master. Ning Tian looked at Di Tian with a smile. Since this old man was willing to call him that, he might as well call him by the simplest title. Yes, ancestral master. Di Tian nodded slightly. Then, without wasting any time, he directly took out a scroll from his storage ring and handed it to Ning Tian. Ancestral master, this is the array formation blueprint of the eternal diagram of heaven and earth. He didn't care that Ning Tian was participating in the competition with such a powerful identity. What he needed was someone with strong array formation skills. The stronger, the better. Not bad. Ning Tian was very satisfied with the efficiency. After silently keeping it, he directly threw it into his storage ring. He couldn't learn it for the time being. Then, he looked at the person behind Di Tian. Old Emperor, long time no see. He chuckled softly. Yes, ancestral master, long time no see. Di Wuji nodded slightly. His eyes were still filled with respect when he looked at Ning Tian. After not seeing him for 2 years, the ancestral master was still so ridiculously strong. You know each other? Seeing the two chatting happily, Di Tian couldn't help but be stunned. We're old friends. Ning Tian smiled. I see. Di Tian nodded slightly. However, at this moment, he didn't pay too much attention to this matter. He still needed Ning Tian's help. He looked at Ning Tian and said, Ancestral Master, I have a request. Chapter 538. Oh, what's the matter? Ning Tian looked at Di Tian with a sincere glint in his eyes. 10,000 spirits nest, Di Tian said without any hesitation. After he finished speaking, even he was stunned for a moment. Why did I say it out loud? Originally, he wanted to keep them in suspense and tell them when they reached the place. Why did he say it out loud? Oh, 10,000 spirits nest? Hearing Di Tian's words, Ning Tian frowned slightly. He looked at Di Tian again and asked, What is this 10,000 spirits nest? What is there inside? Tell me in detail. I'm not sure about this either. I only know that the 10,000 spirits nest was left behind by a demon god. I don't know the space inside, but I guess there must be a great opportunity inside. However, there is an extremely strong sealing array outside the 10,000 spirits nest, so this god needs an array master to help me open it. So, under Ning Tian's sincere gaze, Di Tian said that he didn't know and told him the most detailed information. After saying that, he was confused. This mouth of his, why did he always speak the truth uncontrollably? Great opportunity? Hearing these 3 words, Ning Tian's eyes lit up. As a fated person, he naturally couldn't let go of any fate. However, most people with intentions wouldn't be so greedy. Fortunately, he wasn't. Okay, I got it. Call me when you're ready to go. Ning Tian nodded slightly. Then, he used the heaven and earth locator in his heart to search for the location of the Tiamat cult. But very soon, he frowned, and then his brows furrowed tightly, becoming somewhat serious. Husband, what's wrong? At this moment, Luo Wuqing, who was wearing a fiery dress and had a cold expression, walked over. Her beautiful eyes landed on Ning Tian and asked. Ning Tian didn't say much. Instead, he pulled her over and whispered into her ear. Husband, are you sure? Luo Wuqing frowned slightly. There was a trace of doubt in her beautiful eyes. Yes. Ning Tian nodded slightly, his expression somewhat solemn. Just now, through the heaven and earth locator, he had finally located the location of the Tiamat cult in the god's domain. However, it was precisely because of this location that he was so agitated. Because, in the realm of the gods, the Tiamat cult was actually located in the myriad spirits demon nest. Now the situation was developing in a strange direction. Looks like I have no choice but to go to the 10,000 spirits devil nest. Ning Tian sighed in his heart. Ancestral Master, young Mistress Luo, what's wrong? Di Tian looked over in confusion. Nothing. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly. Just then, Di Tian took a deep breath and stared at Ning Tian seriously. There was a pleading tone in his voice. Ancestor, I want to spar with you about the art of arrays. Hearing this, Ning Tian had a strange look on his face. Why did these words sound so familiar? He inadvertently glanced at Di Wuji, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. He pulled Di Wuji to the side and whispered, Old Di, why does everyone in your family like to spar with others? In the past, there was Di Wuji, and now there was Di Tian. Was the Di family itching for a beating if they didn't spar with others? This might be an outstanding tradition of our Di family. Di Wuji smiled bitterly and sighed. It was as if he could already see his ancestor submitting to the ancestral master. At that time, he was just curious and wanted to spar with the ancestral master. From then on, he was convinced by the ancestral master. However, it seemed like he had never had the chance to spar with the ancestral master. How troublesome! Ning Tian sighed in his heart. He was speechless as he looked at the excited Di Tian. He didn't know anything about arrays. How was he going to spar with him? Did the ancestral master not care about his reputation? How about this? He looked at Di Tian with a smile on his face. Then, he casually drew a formation and pointed at it. With a serious expression, he said, When you can comprehend the mysteries of this formation and see through the eye of the formation, then you can spar with me? Array? Di Tian was stunned. Then, his eyes lit up and he nodded heavily. All right. He looked over and frowned. He said in an uncertain tone, Ancestral Master, does your array really have an array core? No matter how I look at it, this is just a basic array. There is nothing mysterious about it. Oh, are you doubting me? Ning Tian's voice turned cold. This, I wouldn't dare. Di Tian shook his head slightly. Anyway, in short, when it comes to array formations, sometimes it seems like there is nothing, but there is. Sometimes it seems like there is nothing. Ning Tian spouted nonsense in all seriousness. He looked as if he was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Sometimes it seems like there is nothing, but there is. Sometimes it seems like there is nothing. Di Tian mumbled. A glint flashed across his eyes as if he had understood something. Seeing this, Ning Tian's mouth twitched. No way. Talking nonsense can help you comprehend the Tao? This formation was indeed something he had made up, and there was indeed nothing on it. Furthermore, he had never lied to anyone. He had indeed laid his cards on the table with Di Tian. It seemed like there were times when there was nothing. As for how Di Tian would fill in the blanks, that would be up to him. All right. Ancestral Master, I understand. Di Tian nodded slightly. His old eyes were filled with excitement. He continued, 7 days later, please come to the Myriad Elephant Palace. At that time, I will bring all of you to the Myriad Spirits Demon Nest. Okay. Ning Tian nodded in response. Ancestral Master, for these 7 days, you can stay in the Empty God Palace. The few old ancestors of the Empty God Palace welcome you. They said that they will be so happy that they will cry when you come. At this moment, old Su, as a filial son, immediately came over. Oh, is that so? Bring me there then. Ning Tian rubbed his chin. There was actually such a good person in this world? All right, Ancestral Master, young Mistress Luo, please follow me. Old Su's lips curled up into a smile. If the old ancestors of the Empty God Palace saw this scene, they would definitely say, filial piety is killing me. 7 days later. Central Starfield, Empty God Palace. Ning Tian stretched his back and slowly stood up from a pile of ruins. After 7 days of cultivation, he had grasped a lot of array Tao. Although there was some improvement, the eternal map of heaven and earth was an immortal realm array. It was still difficult for him to grasp it in a short period of time. Not bad. These 7 days of cultivation are quite satisfactory. It's a pity that I didn't have time to exercise with my wife. After all, cultivation and physical training have to be done at the same time. Ning Tian felt a little regretful as he looked around. Not far away, The old ancestors of the empty god palace were hugging each other tightly, strangling each other. It was a strange scene. Seniors of the empty god palace, thank you for taking care of us these few days. We will take our leave first. Ning Tian thanked the old ancestors of the empty god palace kindly. Then, he took Luo Wuqing and the sealing flame Lion King and headed toward the Wanxiang Palace. Ancestral Master, when you come back, I will treat you to a drink. Old Su was full of smiles as he waved at Ning Tian and the others who were leaving. After that, he smiled at the old ancestors behind him and said, Old ancestors, the Ancestral Master and the others are gone. You can cry now. Damn. Sob, sob, my training room. Sob, sob, my album of the top 10 beauties of the Starfield. It's all gone. As soon as he said that, the old ancestors cried loudly. Old ancestors, didn't you say that it was impossible to cry? Your original words were, how old are you to cry? Isn't it embarrassing? Let me help you recall. Ha ha, no need to thank me. Old Su said silently. Damn, you bastard. Why did you bring this god back? It's all your fault. Hit him. Hit this unfilial descendant. No. Old ancestors, let's talk nicely. You said not to cry. I'm innocent. Author's words. It's almost the new year. This book will be updated at 3 as usual. I wish everyone a happy new year in advance. Chapter 539. Myriad Elephant Palace. Before Ning Tian and company could enter, Di Tian was already waiting at the entrance of the Myriad Elephant Palace. After all, in these 7 days, other than studying the mysterious array that the Ancestral Master had given him, he had also heard the screams coming from the empty god palace next door. The empty god palace was gone. If he let the Ancestral Master in, the Myriad Elephant Palace would probably be destroyed. Rebuilding the 10,000 array altar already required a lot of spirit coins. If he had to rebuild the Myriad Elephant Palace, he would have to cry for 3 days and 3 nights. Ancestral Master, you are here. Di Tian walked over with Di Wuji following behind him. How's your research on the array formation? Ning Tian nodded slightly as a smile appeared on his face as he looked at Di Tian. I am not talented enough. The array formation that the Ancestral Master gave me, but I still can't figure it out. The Ancestral Master's array formation is really mysterious. Hearing Ning Tian mention this, Di Tian's face turned red as he couldn't help but sigh. He boasted that his array formation talent was very strong, but he couldn't figure out the array formation that the Ancestral Master gave him. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that it was the most ordinary and low-level array formation. But every time he felt this way, the Ancestral Master's words would appear in his mind. It seems to be there, but it isn't. It seems to be there, but it is there. Then, he would feel that he wasn't talented enough and didn't have enough comprehension to understand the mysteries of the Ancestral Master's array formation. Di Tian never doubted Ning Tian. After all, the latter's identity was there. What evil intentions could the Ancestral Master of the Heavenly Palace have? Seeing Di Tian's helpless look, Ning Tian couldn't help but laugh secretly. Di Tian was not stupid. He just had an absolute stubbornness towards formations. And after seeing him use a formation that covered the entire fire domain, he was even more certain that he was an almighty formation master. His competitive nature made him even more certain that the lowest level formation had a profound secret hidden within it. Sigh. Sometimes, it's not a good thing to be too competitive, Ning Tian muttered in his heart. Then, he patted Di Tian's shoulder and said earnestly, Don't worry. I believe that with your talent, Palace Lord Di Tian, you will definitely succeed. All right, let's go to the Myriad Spirit's nest. Behind him, Luo Wuqing and the flame-sealing Lion King were already waiting on the void ship. Bring your people onto the ship. We're setting off, Ning Tian said. He stepped into the void and appeared on the ship. Yes, Patriarch. Di Tian nodded slightly. He had only brought along a few ancestral God Realm experts from the Myriad Elephant Palace on this trip. As for Di Wuji, he had naturally stayed behind in Starfield City to supervise the craftsmen and rebuild the myriad formation altar. When everyone was ready, the void ship turned into a shooting star and disappeared into the horizon. Region of Central Continent, Northern Star Cold Field. When the void ship emerged from the void, a wave of cold air rushed over, and frost immediately appeared on the deck. The little lion standing on the deck was instantly turned into an ice sculpture. What a strong chill! Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's eyes could not help but turn serious. Then, he moved slightly and a flame appeared in his hand and landed on the Lion King's body. In an instant, the ice melted, and the Lion King was shivering from the cold. Roar! It roared with lingering fear and hurriedly ran down the deck while cursing. It rushed into the warm room on the void ship. Damn it! Acting cool. I almost froze the Lion King into a popsicle. Patriarch, this is the Northern Star Cold Field. It's the coldest place in the entire region of Central Continent, and the myriad spirits' demon nest is here. Tian was still indifferent in the face of the wind and snow. He was a heavenly god realm expert, so this bit of cold was nothing to him. Ning Tian nodded slightly and turned to look at Luo Wuching behind him. He said softly, "Wife, can you withstand this temperature?" It's not a problem," Luo Wuching said indifferently. High-temperature flames appeared on the flaming dress on her delicate body and instantly enveloped her. The scorching temperature was enough to drive away the surrounding cold wind. Huff, huff, huff. Even Tian and the others were a little afraid of the high temperature. This is heavenly fire laws? Seeing this scene, Tian frowned and a look of shock flashed across his eyes. He said involuntarily, "I didn't expect young Lady Luo to have grasped the heavenly fire laws. She is indeed the favored daughter of the fire region. The laws of heaven and earth. It wasn't something that anyone could grasp. Patriarch, the myriad spirits' demon nest is at the bottom. Should we speed up?" Tian sighed and shook his head. He looked at Ning Tian and asked in a low voice. "No need." Ning Tian smiled and shook his head. He looked at the wind and snow and couldn't help but have an idea. He stood on the deck and muttered, "Why don't I try to grasp the ice laws now?" Cold. Ice laws? Hearing this, Tian and the other experts from the Myriad Palace were stunned. The ice laws and the heavenly fire laws were similar. They were both natural laws, but it wasn't something that could be grasped just like that. Just as they were stunned, Ning Tian had already sat down cross-legged in the wind and snow. Is the Patriarch really going to try to comprehend it? But it's just a normal wind and snow. How can he comprehend the true ice laws? Seeing this, Tian's brows were tightly knitted together. Palace Master Tian, have you heard of this saying? At this moment, beside him, Luo Wuching lifted her beautiful face and looked at Tian indifferently. Her fiery dress was burning fiercely, and from afar, she looked holy and pure. She slowly opened her mouth and said, Young Lady Luo, please speak." Tian's attitude was very respectful. Luo Wuching wasn't just the young lady of the fire region. She was also the wife of the Patriarch of the Heavenly Palace. These two identities were many times more important than the Myriad Palace. "You can always trust the Patriarch," Luo Wuching said softly. Her beautiful eyes landed on Ning Tian. Her tone was cold, but there was a trace of gentleness in her eyes. "I can always trust the Patriarch?" Tian was stunned. Boom. At this moment, the experts from the Myriad Palace exclaimed, "Palace Master, look, Patriarch's entire body is covered in ice." Tian's expression changed slightly. He quickly turned around. He saw that Ning Tian's body was covered with ice. A terrifying chill was being emitted from his body. It was even colder than the wind and snow around him. It felt like the ice laws. In the entire deity region, the ice goddess who has the strongest ice laws should be the ice goddess who has the ice bloodline. The Patriarch only took a few minutes to comprehend it. Could it be that the Patriarch's talent is far above the ice goddess who has the ice bloodline? Tian's heart was filled with shock. At this moment, on the deck, Ning Tian sat cross-legged. As the spiritual energy in his body circulated, his body was covered with ice. The cold air circulated, and seemed to be able to freeze blood. Even his face was covered with frost. The cold air was extremely cold. However, this wasn't the real ice laws. Author's words: the first update has arrived. Everyone, Happy New Year. There are 2 more updates, but they might be a little late. I'm a little busy today, but there will be plenty of updates. Also, those who haven't joined the group can join. I'm drawing a lottery in the group to thank everyone for their support. King of the Year of the Ox Skin, Group 1. 897996962. There are few empty seats. Group 2. Full. Group 3. 363097196. Finally, thank you for your continuous support. I wish everyone a Happy New Year. Chapter 540. At this moment, the void ship was slowly moving forward at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Below it were countless glaciers. As they went deeper into the northern chill star region, the temperature in the sky became colder and colder. Even the ancestral god realm experts of the Myriad Elephant Palace could not hold on any longer. Ancestral Master, is he not done yet? Di Tian's gaze was a little serious. At this moment, Ning Tian's entire body was frozen by the ice. The temperature around him was extremely cold. Even Di Tian was starting to feel a little fearful of that temperature. It was already infinitely close to the temperature of the ice laws. Roar. In a small room on the void ship, a small lion peeked out and roared a few times. I wonder if the Ancestral Master's ice lolly tastes good. This temperature is already low enough to freeze the Ancestral Master's blood. Di Tian frowned and said in a serious tone. At this moment, a fiery figure walked over and slowly walked towards Ning Tian, who was emitting a terrifying cold aura. Miss Luo? Seeing Luo Wuqing walking towards Ning Tian, Di Tian's expression changed slightly. He seemed to have seen through her intentions and hurriedly advised, Miss Luo, even if you have the heavenly fire laws, your heavenly fire laws are not considered strong. You can't take this risk. He could see that although Luo Wuqing had the heavenly fire laws, she was not proficient in controlling the heavenly fire. However, Luo Wuqing was not swayed by Di Tian's words. She was still her. She was still the Empress. Others could not order her around. She took a deep breath. Next, heavenly fire surged on her delicate body and turned into a skirt. She walked over gently and raised her jade-like hand. A blazing flame appeared and dispersed the ice. At this moment, the corner of Ning Tian's mouth was slightly white. There was a cold aura in his body. All of his heavenly fire laws were circulating this cold aura. He originally used the Tao of Nature to extract a trace of cold aura and then obtained the right to use the ice laws for a minute. But this chill was no ordinary thing. Once it entered one's body, it would be difficult to deal with. He couldn't take care of his body and his body at the same time. So his heavenly fire laws were digesting the chill in his body, and the chill outside his body had already begun to freeze his body and corrode his blood. Damn it! Ning Tian cursed in his heart. He was prepared to go all out and directly destroy the chill. At most, he would waste some time and use the Tao of Nature to absorb the chill again. But at this moment, beside him, a blazing heat spread out, following which the ice around his body began to melt and a familiar fragrance drifted over. He felt a touch of softness on his back, and a burst of warmth flowed into his body. Husband, please continue. Beside his ear, he heard the sound of orchid exhaling. The coexistence of softness and heat dissipated the chill. And, hearing this, Ning Tian felt warmth in his heart. Then, he circulated the heaven fire in his body with all his might to melt the chill. On the deck, seeing the scene of Luo Wuqing hugging Ning Tian from behind and circulating the heaven fire to expel the chill, Di Tian and the group of experts from the Myriad Elephant Palace were slightly moved, and they felt a little jealous. Dozens of minutes later, Ning Tian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, and a cold light appeared in his hand. It was a bit of ice. This is the ice laws? Di Tian looked over and couldn't help but be stunned. That's right. The corner of Ning Tian's mouth curled up into a smile, and the cold light in his hand slowly dissipated. This was indeed the ice laws, but there was one thing he didn't say, and that was that he could only use this ice laws for 1 minute. After all, this was only the ice laws practiced by the Tao of nature, but he could still unleash its true power. Wife, you've worked hard. Ning Tian stretched out his hand, and a blazing heat appeared in his hand. He gently brushed away the ice on Luo Wuqing's hair. It's fine. Luo Wuqing shook her head slightly, and her voice was still cold. I didn't expect that the ancestral master had really comprehended the ice laws. Is the heavenly god physique really so terrifying? Di Tian's expression was a little moved, and a trace of astonishment flashed across his eyes. You have shocked Di Tian. You have shocked the experts of the Myriad Elephant Palace. Reward, Ice Sword Array. The fusion of sword art and array, together with the ice laws, will have an unexpected effect. While Di Tian was still in shock, the system's voice rang in Ning Tian's mind. Ice Sword Array? That's right, keep it. Ning Tian was slightly stunned. After checking it for a while, he kept it. Since he had already obtained the usage rights of the ice laws for 1 minute, there was no need to stay any longer. It's about time. Let's speed up and rush to the Myriad Spirits Demon Cave in one go. Yes, Ancestral Master. Glacier region. Outside a cave that was a few thousand meters in size. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, a black shadow suddenly appeared and then landed heavily on the ground. In the snowstorm, on the void ship, a few figures appeared. Palace Master Di Tian, your skills in driving the void ship are not as good as Sha Tian. Looking at the mess, Ning Tian could not help but complain. Roar, at the side, the lion cubs raised their heads proudly. Cough. After all, this is my first time driving this thing. It is inevitable that I am a little unfamiliar with it. Di Tian coughed dryly. He was a little embarrassed that he was not as good as the lion. Let's go. The Myriad Spirits Demon Cave is in front. Ning Tian did not bother about it. He looked at the cave that was a few thousand meters in size not far away, and a trace of seriousness flashed in his eyes. Following which, he pulled Luo Wuqing's soft hand and walked towards the Myriad Spirits Demon Cave. Seeing this, the Sealing Flame Lion King and the people from the Myriad Elephant Palace quickly jumped off the void ship and followed. A few minutes later, dozens of figures stopped in front of the huge cave. The cave was surrounded by glaciers, and a cold wind blew, making the already cold weather even colder. Husband, look. Luo Wuqing seemed to have discovered something, and her beautiful eyes looked towards a direction. Ning Tian looked over, and spiritual energy flashed in his eyes. A stream of light flashed in the cave, and a huge aura condensed. That was an array that was a few thousand meters in size. Ancestral Master, that is the array that I was talking about. Di Tian also looked over, and he spoke slowly with a serious tone. This should be an immortal realm array. However, the energy it contains is extremely powerful. I am afraid that we will need to work together to break this array. Don't be in a hurry. Let me take a look. Ning Tian waved his hand, and a small array flashed in his left eye. He immediately activated the array eye and looked into the cave. Soon, all the mysteries of this array were captured in his eyes. His expression gradually turned solemn. The power of this formation was far more than what he had seen. Ancestral Master, how is it? Seeing Ning Tian's serious expression, Di Tian seemed to have understood something. It is a little tricky, but it is not unbreakable. Ning Tian shook his head and said. He looked at Di Tian and instructed. Use the power of the array first and test it. Okay. Di Tian nodded. The moment he activated the power of the array, 100-meter big array appeared under his feet, and he stood in the middle of it. This was the incarnation of his array power. However, at this moment, there was a commotion behind him. You, who is it? Chapter 541. Outside the cave. When the voice rang out, the hearts of Ning Tian's group immediately shivered. They quickly turned around and saw a blue-eyed lady in ice armor standing outside the cave behind them. Although they didn't know where she came from, they could tell that she wasn't a human, because that pair of elven ears was too obvious. There were some blue frost patterns on her face. It was these frost patterns that covered her face. Although one could not tell how beautiful her face was, one could tell from her basic outline that she was not ugly. Behind the woman, there was a group of people in ice armor. Their elf ears had the same frost patterns, but the frost patterns were much fainter than the woman's. These people, when did they appear? Ning Tian frowned, and a serious look flashed in his eyes. He and Luo Wuqing weren't the only ones who didn't notice them. Even Di Tian, who was a god, didn't notice them either. It was as if they could hide their aura. Facing this group of people, Luo Wuqing's face was cold. He stood quietly beside Ning Tian, ready to attack at any moment. Ancestral Master, this is the Winter Spirit Clan. At the side, Di Tian's eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness as he spoke slowly. The Winter Spirit Clan? Ning Tian frowned. Yes, it's the strongest clan in the northern Chill Star region. It's also an extremely rare clan in the Tianxian continent. Di Tian explained with a frown. But why are these winter spirits here? Who are you? Why did you break into the Winter Spirit Forbidden Land? The leader of the group looked coldly at Ning Tian's group. She raised her lily-white hand, and in a flash of cold light, it transformed into a flashing ice blade, turning her body into a sharp blade. Seeing this, Ning Tian frowned, but he soon relaxed. No, this is similar to the Law of Ice. The Winter Spirit Clan is indeed not simple. Then, Ning Tian looked at the woman and said with a smile, Miss from the Winter Spirit Clan, I think you've misunderstood. We didn't break into the Winter Spirit Clan's Forbidden Land. We only entered the 10,000 Spirits Nest. The Winter Spirit Forbidden Land and the 10,000 Spirits Nest are two different places. Don't you think so? Hearing Ning Tian's words, the woman was stunned. Then, a cold light flashed in her blue eyes, and she sneered. What a glib tongue. Despicable outsider. The 10,000 Spirits Nest is the Winter Spirit Forbidden Land. Do you think I'm stupid? Hearing this, Ning Tian nodded with an honest expression. Yes. After all, our ancestral master. You. A trace of coldness flashed through the woman's blue eyes when she heard that. An aura suddenly surged from her body as she pointed her finger at Ning Tian. I don't care who you are. There's only one ending for those who trespass into the forbidden Winter Spirit Land. Die. As soon as she finished speaking, an icy aura surged out from her, and it transformed into a wave of ice that shot towards Ning Tian and the others. Behind her, the Winter Spirit clansmen drew their weapons and aimed at Ning Tian's group. Prepare for battle. Seeing this, Di Tian frowned and hurriedly ordered the Wanxiang Palace experts behind him. He didn't expect the 10,000 Spirits Nest to be the Winter Spirit Clan's forbidden land. You don't know what's good for you. We warned you a few days ago, but you didn't repent. This time, don't blame the Winter Spirit Clan for being merciless. The woman snorted. Warning? Di Tian was stunned. They'd never met anyone from the Winter Spirit Clan. Why would they warn them? Go. Kill them. The ice-armored woman let out a cold shout and swung the ice blade in her hand. Behind her, hundreds of Winter Spirit clansmen charged at her. At the same time, she raised the ice blade in her hand and shot it at Ning Tian. A great battle was about to break out. A lion cub had already dug a hole and hid in it. It was only responsible for demolishing the home, not fighting. Husband, be careful. Seeing the woman shooting at them, Luo Wuqing instinctively stood in front of Ning Tian. Her fiery dress stirred up a burst of flames. She looked at the woman coldly. When she saw Luo Wuqing, the woman was stunned, but her eyes soon turned cold. It couldn't be that person. The Winter Spirit Clan will follow that person's orders and kill everyone who breaks into the Forbidden Land. Up ahead, but it's a forbidden land, she said. Her delicate body moved slightly, turned into a blue light, and rushed toward Ning Tian and Luo Wuqing. At this critical moment, when the great battle was about to begin, Luo Wuqing suddenly felt a strange power in his body the moment he saw the ice-armored woman charging towards him. His red lips parted slightly, and a cold shout came out of his mouth subconsciously. How dare you? she shouted coldly. In an instant, an invisible aura erupted from her body. What? The ice-armored woman's expression changed slightly, and then she stopped abruptly. The Winter Spirit Clan experts around her also stopped at this moment. Their expressions changed from shock to awe. What's going on? Tion was about to make a move when he saw this scene. He couldn't help but wonder. He saw all the members of the Winter Spirit Clan, including the ice-armored woman, stopped, and the frost patterns on their faces were emitting a dazzling blue light. Could it be? Seeing this scene, and then seeing the blue light emitted by the frost patterns on the Winter Spirit Clansmen, Tion seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Luo Wuqing. Wife, give me another order. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. She seemed to understand that this sudden change was because of her shout. She looked at the Winter Spirit Clansmen and said coldly, "Put down your weapons." As soon as her voice fell, like a curse, the frost patterns on the Winter Spirit Clansmen's faces emitted a cold light again, and then they put down their weapons one by one. Even the woman in the ice armor retreated from her weapon form. At this moment, all the Winter Spirit Clansmen looked at Luo Wuqing in awe. Suddenly, with a flop, the woman in the ice armor knelt on one knee and looked at Luo Wuqing. "Miss, the Winter Spirit Clan has been waiting for your arrival." Flop, flop, "Greetings, miss." "Greetings, miss." At this moment, all the Winter Spirit Clansmen knelt on one knee and looked at Luo Wuqing in awe. They shouted in unison, and even the surrounding glaciers trembled. Seeing this scene, Tion and the people of the Wanxiang Palace were completely dumbfounded. How could the miss of the Fire Domain be related to the Winter Spirit Clan? On the side, Tion frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. The Winter Spirit Clan, the 10,000 Spirits Den, and the Tianma cult located by the Heaven and Earth Locator. Everything seemed to point to the same answer. White Willow, greetings, fellow cultivators. Well, I don't have any gifts, so I'll draw a circle and curse you guys to be arrogant and have good luck in everything. Ovo. Chapter 542. In front of the 10,000 Spirits Nest, the ice-armored woman and a group of winter spirits knelt before Luo Wuqing on one knee. Their faces were filled with awe, and at the same time, the blue frost patterns on their faces glowed brilliantly. "You, who are you?" Luo Wuqing was only slightly taken aback by the actions of the winter spirits, but she quickly recovered. Her expression was calm, and her pretty face was cold. She looked at the winter spirits indifferently and asked. She naturally knew that they were the winter spirits. She asked. It was their hidden identity. "Young lady." The ice-armored woman slowly looked up, the ice-blue patterns on her pretty face flashing with light. She looked at Luo Wuqing with respect, her red lips parting slightly as she slowly said, "We are members of the Winter Spirit Tribe, and also the guardians of the 10,000 Spirits Nest. We are also the gatekeepers of the Sky Demon Cult." The guardians of the 10,000 Spirits Nest, the gatekeepers of the Tianma Cult? Hearing this, Tion pondered for a moment, and a glint flashed in his eyes. It seemed things were developing in the direction he had guessed. If he was not mistaken, the Tianma cult was in the 10,000 Spirits Nest because Luo Wuqing's parents had arranged it, and the winter spirits might have something to do with them. But don't forget, his cheap father-in-law was also the former leader of the Tianma cult. The Tianma cult seems to be more than that. Tion touched his chin and murmured. On the other hand, Tion and the others were completely confused when they heard this. They were completely dumbfounded. Tianma cult? What was the Tianma cult? They had never heard of a force called the Tianma cult in the Central Star Zone. What kind of force could make the strongest race of the Northern Chill Star Zone willingly guard its door? "What's your name?" Luo Wuqing looked at the ice-armored woman indifferently. "Young lady, my name is Lan Bing." Lan Bing answered Luo Wuqing without hesitation. "Lan Bing," Luo Wuqing murmured. However, as soon as she spoke, some of the runes on Lan Bing's face actually fell off. They turned into a streak of blue light and imprinted themselves on Luo Wuqing's wrist. Very soon, he disappeared again. "Wife." Tion looked over. "I'm fine. Luo Wuqing shook his head slightly and said softly, "What happened just now only deepened their trust." She could clearly sense that when the frost imprint was on her wrist, her control over the blue ice in front of her seemed to have increased. In other words, she knew their true names. He could obtain a contract that could control them. However, the members of the Winter Spirit clan didn't seem to mind this sort of contract. However, there are fewer frost patterns on her face. She looks much better than before. Ning Tian rubbed his chin and looked at Lan Bing with clear eyes. Some of the frost patterns had fallen off, making it easier to see her appearance. "Oh, is that so?" Luo Wuqing looked over coldly. Ning Tian coughed dryly. "Roar, roar." Seeing this, the Lion King grew excited. It roared twice, ready to watch a good show. Roar, roar. What a suicidal question. How dare he praise another woman in front of his wife? However, just as it was gloating, Ning Tian raised his hand and turned the lion into an ice sculpture. Luo Wuqing couldn't be bothered to pursue the matter. He looked at Lan Bing again. Roar. In the ice sculpture, a lion cub was puzzled. "Why am I always the one getting hurt? Lan Bing, tell me what's going on." Luo Wuqing's icy eyes fell upon Lan Bing as he asked in a clear and cold voice. "Yes, Mississippi." Lan Bing nodded and said respectfully, "All of this is because," however, just as she spoke, something strange happened. A blood-curdling scream rang out behind him. Everyone turned around abruptly, only to see a stream of blue blood spurt 3 feet high. Immediately after, a large number of Winter Spirit clansmen behind them were instantly reduced to corpses. "Haha." Then, a wild laugh sounded. "I finally found you. One of the remnants of the Dark Rebellion." Boom. As soon as the voice fell, a violent aura swept through the surroundings. "Who is it? How dare you kill my clansmen?" In an instant, Lan Bing stood up. A similar aura enveloped the surroundings. Another layer of ice armor appeared on her delicate body. Her right hand turned into a sharp blade in the ice. "TSK, I didn't expect Lan Bing to be a heavenly god." Sensing Lan Bing's aura, Ning Tian couldn't help but murmur, "Winter Spirit clansman? So what if you're a Winter Spirit? All of you must die." That arrogant voice rang out once again. However, this voice sounded familiar to Ning Tian, as if she had heard it somewhere before. Soon boom, boom boom. A group of Winter Spirit clansmen who wanted to stop them were sent flying and crashed into the surrounding glaciers. Immediately after, a figure slowly walked over. Behind him were several figures whose auras were not weak at all. "It's you. It's you." 2 voices sounded at the same time. Lan Bing looked at them coldly. She recognized them immediately. They were the people she had warned a few days ago. She didn't expect them to turn around and come back. Ning Tian also recognized the middle-aged man. This guy, wasn't he the heavenly god's phantom from the heavenly spirit world? Although he was no longer the heavenly god's phantom and had a physical body, his aura wouldn't change. Ning Tian recognized him at a glance. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Back then, neither the 9 masters of the heavenly palace nor the Saint Sun God attacked this guy, because there were some things that Ning Tian needed to solve himself. But now, it was the best time to solve the problem. It's you. You're from the heavenly palace." The moment he saw Ning Tian, the middle-aged man's expression changed and he panicked. How could it be him? How could this kid be here? According to the orders from above, they couldn't provoke the heavenly palace. They should avoid fighting as much as possible. They couldn't afford to provoke them. Damn it. It wasn't easy to find some information about the surviving forces of the dark turmoil, but now there's nothing I can do. How annoying. He cursed angrily in his heart as he gnashed his teeth in anger. Forget it. Let's go. He glared fiercely at Ning Tian, then turned around to leave with the group of people. Stop. Don't tell me you don't dare to kill me? Ning Tian chuckled softly behind him. Naturally, he would not let the information in his hands slip away. After all, he had clearly heard the words dark turmoil just now. These people in front of him must know something. Kid, hearing this, The middle-aged man clenched his fists tightly. Since you don't dare to kill me, then let me send you to your death. Ning Tian's voice trailed off. The middle-aged man was instantly enraged. Kid, I'm in my original form now. Send me to my death? What a joke. However, he didn't finish his words. Boom. In front of Ning Tian, a black bell fell in front of everyone. Author's words, there are 2 more chapters. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm quite busy today, so I took the time to write. There are 2 more chapters. I'm not sure when, but I will update. Chapter 543. Boom, boom, boom. Accompanied by a rumbling sound, the pitch-black death bell heavily landed on the ground. Everyone even heard a bell ring, and even the surrounding glaciers were shattered. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man was stunned. Around him, Tian, Lan Bing, and the others also had strange expressions. Funeral bell. Is it really a funeral? Kid, are you humiliating me? The middle-aged man's expression suddenly became somewhat ugly. Although the higher-ups did not allow him to attack the people of the Heavenly Palace, it did not mean that Ning Tian could casually humiliate him. He was a fake heavenly god, not a soft persimmon. Sorry, I took the wrong one. At this moment, Ning Tian chuckled, pointed at the death bell, and said indifferently, This bell, I won't send you off. Oh, fellow Taoist Ning, you? Why did I fall on the ground? At this moment, a beautiful white figure floated out from the pitch-black bell on the ground. When she saw the death bell on the ground, she immediately panicked. Bai Lu hurriedly floated over and carefully hugged the death bell in her arms. From the way this lady usually hugged him and never let go, it could be seen that Bai Lu was a clean freak. Fellow Taoist Ning, how can you put me on the ground? Bai Lu hugged the death bell and expressed her strong condemnation. Seeing this scene, for some reason, Tian, Lan Bing, and the others suddenly felt their hearts explode. So cute, the fake heavenly god muttered. The affirmation from the enemy. Whoosh. In an instant, the gazes of the people around him directly turned over, and they asked in confusion, Lord Fake Heavenly God? Cough, cough. The fake heavenly god hurriedly coughed dryly. His old face turned red, and he subconsciously said it. Just as Bai Lu took out the small branch that Ning Tian gave her and was about to draw circles and curse, Ning Tian used the law of ice to create a popsicle in his hand and handed it to Bai Lu. Eat quickly and finish your work. I still need you to send your soul to me later. Ice, Inchi. Seeing this scene, Bai Lu's eyes instantly lit up, and he put away the small branch. After receiving it, he licked it with a satisfied expression. The soul body was Yin, and so was the law of ice. Eating this would replenish the necessary Yin energy. Next, it's time to send you on your way. Following Ning Tian's calm voice, Tian and the people from the myriad elephant palace behind him instantly entered battle mode. Although they didn't know the background of these people in front of them, but no matter how strong they were, could they be stronger than the heavenly palace? Lan Bing led a group of winter spirit clansmen over as well. It would appear that I won't be able to leave without killing you today. Seeing this, the fake god snorted. Hearing this, the expressions of the people behind him slightly changed. They couldn't help but ask, Your Excellency, didn't the higher-ups forbid us from attacking the people of the heavenly palace? Do you think I want to move? If we don't kill him now, we will be the ones to die. As long as we kill everyone here, no one will know that we did it. As soon as his voice fell, an enormous aura burst out from the body of the fake divine god. His aura was pressing down on everyone. 7 stars of the heavenly god realm. Seeing this scene, Tian's expression changed slightly. A trace of seriousness flashed across his eyes. Didn't you trap and kill an 8 stars of the heavenly god realm before? Why are you panicking? Seeing Tian's expression as if he was about to face a great enemy, Ning Tian couldn't help but frown and say unhappily, Cough, Ancestral Master, you said it yourself. It was a trap to kill. Tian coughed dryly. His old face turned red as he explained, Those were my old enemies. I had to place 200 eternal heaven and earth formations in that place before I was able to kill them. Right now, I don't have the time to set up a few hundred formations. Ning Tian slowly typed a question mark. Brat, let's see who can save you. This time, my true body is here. Moreover, you don't have the 9 sovereigns of the heavenly palace. The fake god sneered. The corner of his mouth lifted into a confident arc. Behind him, several auras appeared. Shockingly, they were also heavenly god powerhouses. Although he couldn't see through Ning Tian's strength, he could guess that it wasn't too strong. After all, this brat had just entered the divine realm 2 years ago. Could it be that he was invincible in 2 years? Is that so? A glint flashed across Ning Tian's eyes. Looking at the people behind the fake god, he couldn't help but feel a little serious. What kind of force were these people from? They were actually so strong. Now, he could only hope that he didn't see wrongly when he used the Eye of Formation. Di Tian, Lan Bing, the two of you lead your men to deal with the other heavenly gods. Ning Tian looked at the few of them and ordered. Yes, Di Tian and Lan Bing didn't hesitate at all. The former understood his identity as the ancestral master of the heavenly palace, so she followed his orders. The latter saw that he had a close relationship with the young mistress, so she followed his orders. Husband, what about you? Luo Wuqing looked over. Ning Tian had already assigned the other heavenly gods. However, he didn't assign them to the strongest fake god. It was obvious that he wanted to deal with it himself. It's okay, wife. I have my own ways to kill this fake god. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly. When the ancestral master saw this fake god, he had already started thinking about how to kill this fake god gracefully. He could fight above his level. However, it was obvious that the gap between them was too big. This time, it was the fake god's true body that had come. It was indeed a little difficult to fight above one's level. Therefore, at this time, he could only use some external power. For example, the formation in the 10,000 spirits devil nest. Earlier, he had already observed how powerful this formation was through the Eye of Formation. At the very least, if he used his full strength, killing a 7-star heavenly god wouldn't be a problem at all. However, he had to use his full strength. Through his formation eye, he was able to see through the profoundness of the formation. In fact, he was even able to see through the formation's attack method. Every time he touched the formation, it would attack him. However, what if he touched it tens of millions of times, or even more? When the formation was condensed tens of millions of times, the power of the formation's attack would become immeasurable. In the surroundings, a great battle was about to break out at any moment. Although those heavenly gods were inferior to this fake god, it would still be difficult for them to defeat him in an instant. Boy, even if you have a heavenly god body, you still haven't grown up. Therefore, go to hell. The fake god sneered. Spiritual energy and divine power surged in his hand. Is that so? However, Ning Tian only chuckled. Your biggest mistake? You're estimating me based on an ordinary heavenly god body. I, the ancestral master, do not have a proper heavenly god body. The moment his voice fell, Ning Tian muttered in his heart, Sand of time. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound of a pendulum seemed to resound in his mind. At this moment, it seemed as if time had stopped around him. At this moment, he turned into a ghost and charged into the 10,000 spirits devil nests formation. Chapter 544. Within the time quicksand, within the time domain, within the 10,000 spirits demon nest, a figure could be seen constantly rushing in. Above the huge array, a terrifying ray of light also lit up. Just as the array lit up, an attack erupted. Time. Ning Tian's indifferent voice sounded. In an instant, that attack seemed to have stopped. After the attack stopped, Ning Tian once again touched the array. When the array's attack appeared again, he repeated the same trick. Just like that. Within the time domain, Ning Tian entered and exited. The moment the array lit up, he once again used the law of time to stop the attack from condensing. And this action was repeated millions of times. The 10,000 spirits demon nests array, I suspect that I've been played. Humph. Kid, go to hell. The fake heavenly deity coldly snorted. Only a few seconds had passed in the outside world. When he saw Ning Tian remaining silent for a few seconds, he couldn't help but sneer. However, he suddenly sensed that something was wrong. This kid's beard. When did it grow out? His gaze fell on Ning Tian's handsome face. The beard that originally did not exist had grown out at some unknown time. It was unshaven, as if a few days had passed. Within the time domain, the time quicksand, the time of others was not affected at all. The time that truly flowed was Ning Tian's own time. For others, time was still the same time. However, for Ning Tian, dozens of days had already passed. Forget it. Let's kill this kid first to avoid any more trouble. A sinister glint flashed across the fake divine god's eyes. Then, his figure moved and instantly shot toward Ning Tian. His terrifying aura suppressed Ning Tian. The corners of his mouth lifted into a confident smile. In his heart, he thought that he did not give Ning Tian a chance to catch his breath. However, little did he know that Ning Tian had already accumulated a big move in the time quicksand. He was just waiting for him to enter the trap. Husband, be careful. Luo Wuqing's voice resounded from the side when the false divine god charged towards Ning Tian. At the same time, Ning Tian's figure retreated explosively and dodged the false divine god's attack. Wife, don't worry. I've already thought of a way to kill this guy. Ning Tian looked up. His unshaven appearance made him look very tired. After all, repeating the same action thousands of times in the sands of time would have a huge impact on one's mind. Be careful. Upon seeing this scene, Luo Wuqing seemed to have understood something. After she spoke to Ning Tian, a wisp of raging flames appeared on her delicate body, and she turned around and charged towards the others. Kill this god? What a joke. In front of absolute power, all tricks are useless. The fake divine god snorted and charged toward Ning Tian again. Do you think I'm afraid of this move of yours? Ning Tian raised his head proudly and couldn't help but sneer. Hearing this, the fake divine god was stunned for a moment. Then, his face darkened. He gritted his teeth and the corners of his mouth twitched. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes as he suddenly shouted, F***, if you're not afraid, then why are you running? They saw. The ancestral master elegantly dodged the attack while saying that he wasn't afraid. What do you know? If I can dodge, I won't dodge. Do you think I'll meet force with force? Are you stupid or just stupid? Ning Tian said casually and rolled his eyes at the fake divine god. Sometimes, brains are more useful than strength. F***CKU. The fake divine god was instantly enraged. He wanted to catch Ning Tian, but this kid's speed was really strange. The most important thing was that he was constantly hiding in the void. You're not convinced? If you're not convinced, then come and fight me. Ning Tian had a smile on his face as he retreated gracefully. F***CK. The fake divine god's eyes were crimson red and he looked furious. He circulated his divine power and wanted to trap Ning Tian in a pincer attack. However, Ning Tian seemed to be prepared for this. She took a step into the void and then took another step out. Damn it! The fake divine god gritted his teeth. However, in the next few moves, no matter how he used his divine power, he couldn't do anything to Ning Tian. After all, back in the heavenly palace, eldest senior sister had chased him all over the mountain to train his speed. How could this fake divine god's speed compare to Yishuang's? After a few moves, Kid, you're not running anymore? Seeing that Ning Tian didn't move, the fake divine god looked at him coldly. Running? I'm not running anymore. Ning Tian chuckled. At this moment, he was leaning against the array of the 10,000 spirits' nest. He silently put away the scarlet heaven sword in his hand. Phew, I just finished shaving my beard. Next, it's my turn to fight back, right? Seeing this scene, the fake divine god became even angrier. That's right. Just now, when he was chasing Ning Tian, this bastard was actually hiding while taking out the scarlet heaven sword to shave his beard. Shave. F***CK. He didn't put him in his eyes at all. It was extremely insulting, and the damage was also extremely high. Fight back? Ridiculous. The fake divine god sneered. Ice sword array. However, this time, Ning Tian didn't hesitate at all and directly used the ice sword array. When the cold air flowed and the 1-minute use of the law of ice began, a trace of sword intent leaked out and then turned into many ice blades. Vaguely, they formed a formation. However, this formation only had its shape, but it didn't have its power. For Ning Tian, who had only cultivated the Tao of formations for a few days, it was already very good to have its shape. With this little bit of power of the formation, you want to shake this god's divine power? Ridiculous. Seeing the ice sword array, the fake divine god smiled disdainfully and didn't even want to look at it. Yes, indeed, it's just a little bit of power. Ning Tian looked at the fake divine god with a kind and sincere face. Then, he waved his hand heavily, and thousands of cold swords gathered here. Boom. Please enter the trap. Now is the best time. All of his escape routes just now were just to find the right angle, so that the fake divine god could escape in a dignified manner. Boom. Boom. A cold sword light, 10,000 spells were opened. The condensed sword array suddenly shot toward the fake divine god. Ridiculous. Just this little bit of power? Seeing this scene, the fake divine god smiled disdainfully and raised his hand to display his divine power. His palm fell heavily and instantly destroyed the ice sword array with one palm. However, before he could feel proud, Ning Tian's smiling voice sounded. Heavenly Demon Funeral Service. I wish you a dignified departure. The fake divine god was stunned. Time freeze. However, at this moment, Ning Tian suddenly shouted 2 words. Then, there seemed to be a ticking sound. Then, the array in front of the fake divine god's body lit up with a burst of bright light. A terrifying energy burst out. This was not the end. Above the array, light kept flashing. It was like a blink of an eye. The light flashed thousands of times. This was the time freeze that Ning Tian had just used. When time freeze fell, its power naturally burst out. It's so dazzling. The fake divine god subconsciously looked to the side. However, soon, all of the power above the array directly locked onto him. In an instant, his face changed from wild laughter to despair. What a powerful power, no. No. A miserable scream sounded. Then, a boom instantly enveloped the fake divine god. The huge movement instantly attracted everyone's attention. Boom, boom, boom. The surrounding glaciers shattered. Amidst the rumbling sound, Ning Tian looked kindly at the fake heavenly deity who was enveloped by the power. The corners of her mouth lifted into a faint smile. This fellow is really a good person. I was just worrying about how to consume the energy of the array. Now, this guy is here. That's right. If the fake divine god did not come, the power of the array in the 10,000 spirits demon nest would have to be slowly consumed. However, unfortunately, this guy came. Hiss! Hearing this, Di Tian and the others instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. That fake divine god, did he fall into the ancestral master's trap? Chapter 545. I didn't expect the ancestral master's mastery of formations to be so strong, Di Tian murmured as he looked at Ning Tian with bright eyes. His heart was in turmoil. When the ancestral master used the ice sword formation, I thought it only had a little bit of power. It turns out that the ancestral master deliberately lowered the power of the ice sword formation to make the fake heavenly deity lower his guard. Then, he used the fake heavenly deity to consume the formations of the 10,000 spirits nest. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. Di Tian, a formation grandmaster, analyzed silently. Ning Tian, I'm impressed by your imagination. Lord Fake Heavenly Deity. The fake sky god's subordinates looked over anxiously when they heard the rumble. However, at this moment, Lan Bing led a group of winter spirit clansmen to surround them. Kill. Luo Wuqing looked over and uttered a word. The most important fake heavenly deity had been defeated by her husband. As for these people, they were not worth mentioning and had no value. Yes, young miss. Hearing Luo Wuqing's words, Lan Bing nodded. Without any hesitation, she stabbed out with the ice blade in her hand. At the same time, the Winter Spirit Clan members also transformed into ice and stabbed out with their ice blades. In an instant, the few of them were killed. Boom, boom, boom. The ice melted and the fake heavenly deity's body was revealed from the aftermath of the energy. At this moment, he was still alive after taking the attacks of tens of thousands of formations. One had to admit that this 7-star heavenly deity was very strong. Not dead? It's fine if you're not dead. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. Then, he walked over and stomped on the fake heavenly deity's chest. Pooh! With this stomp, the fake heavenly deity spat out another mouthful of blood. Under the attacks of tens of thousands of formations, even if he was not dead, he was already on his last breath. Speak. Who are you people? What do you mean by the dark turmoil? What is your purpose? Ning Tian looked down at the fake heavenly deity and said indifferently, cough cough. Don't think you can get anything out of me. The fake heavenly deity said coldly as he coughed out blood. Oh, I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. Hearing this, the corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted into a kind smile. If you don't tell me, it will make things difficult for me. After all, I, your ancestor, have never killed anyone. Humph. If I tell you, you will definitely kill me. Unless you let me go, otherwise. The fake heavenly god's stubbornness was all for the sake of survival. You shocked Tian. Reward, 1 soul search card, valid for 3 hours. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Oh, soul-searching card? Hearing this, Ning Tian instantly revealed the signature smile of an ancestor. Seeing this, the fake deity's heart trembled. This brat's smile was so good-natured. What did you just say? Ning Tian smiled as he looked at the fake heaven god. Humph. Unless you give me a way out, I won't tell you. The fake heaven god snorted coldly. Oh, then you'd better die. Ning Tian replied indifferently. Then, he waved his hand, and a strange black gas appeared in his hand. He waved it in front of the fake heaven god's eyes. Instantly, the fake heaven god's pupils dilated, and his vitality dissipated. With his current cultivation, using the law of death would naturally be ineffective against the fake heaven god at his peak. However, now, the fake heaven god only had 1 breath left. Naturally, he could die just like that. He died just like that? Seeing this scene, Tian, Lan Bing, and the others were stunned. What else? Ning Tian chuckled. Then, he slapped his head as if he had thought of something. He muttered, that's right, this guy can't die yet. But ancestor, he's already dead. Could it be that he can come back from the dead? Hearing Ning Tian's words, Tian glanced at the fake heaven god whose vitality had completely dissipated. He frowned slightly. Of course not. After all, we have to believe in medical skills. Medical skills can at most bring the dead back to life. However, it's very difficult to bring the dead back to life. Ning Tian said with a smile. Then, he raised his hand. A green light appeared in his hand. He shone it on the fake heaven god's corpse. Instantly, a ray of light appeared. The fake heaven god's vitality seemed to have recovered a little. The ancestor believed in medical skills. Therefore, he used the law of life. Seeing this scene, Tian and the group of experts from the Myriad Elephant Palace had a strange expression. The corners of their mouths twitched. Damn it, the ancestor said that he believed in medical skills. Then, in the next second, he raised his hand and revived the fake heaven god? Were all heaven god bodies this powerful? The fake sky god, who had just been resurrected, was still in a daze. He had no idea that he had died. When he saw Ning Tian's smiling face, he snorted coldly and said, Brat, if you have the ability, then kill me. Before he could finish his words, a black gas appeared on Ning Tian's left hand. The fake heaven god died again. This is so troublesome. Will this guy die every time I use the soul-searching card? Ning Tian touched his chin and muttered in his heart. If he only used it once, he wouldn't be able to get the information he wanted. It seemed that this could only be a small bug. Every time this guy dies, I'll let him live again. I'll search him again. After he dies, I'll search him again. However, was this considered a bug in the system? Hence, Ning Tian's left hand died and his right hand was revived. Humph, brat. If you have the ability, then kill me. Search. Live. Humph. Brat. If you have the ability, then search. Live for me. Humph, brat. Just like that, after 10 or 20 times, Ning Tian even knew the color of the fake heaven god's underwear like the back of his hand. Finally, he knew the useful information in the fake heaven god's mind. As for the fake heaven god, he died very peacefully. Seeing this scene, Di Tian and the others were all dumbfounded. They saw that after the fake sky god died, he straightened his body with a whoosh. Then, before he could finish speaking, he was killed by the ancestral master. This happened over and over again. In the end, he couldn't even speak before he died. TSK. If this fake heaven god went to the Earth Soul realm, he would be able to brag to others that he had died 10 or 20 times. Unfortunately, he didn't know. Phew. After the soul search ended, Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. A glint flashed across his eyes. He seemed to have understood many things. He muttered in his heart, Ancient God Cloud Atlas, Heaven and Earth Collection. Is this the power behind this fake heaven god? It seems to be a huge force, comparable to the heavenly palace. If this is one of the ancient forces in the divine realm, it seems that they have mentioned something about the sleeping thing in the heavenly soul realm. Could it be? What does the sleeping thing they mentioned have to do with the heart of the 3 clans? But they don't know the name of the heart of the 3 clans. Ning Tian frowned. There was a large amount of information from the fake heaven god in his mind. Chapter 546. Behind the fake divine god was a force called the Ancient God Cloud Atlas. The fake divine god didn't know the specific information of the force, which meant that the entire Ancient God Cloud Atlas was extremely powerful. And the boss of the fake divine god was the ancient god that he saw in the heavenly spirit world. Ancient god, like the sacred sun deity, he was an existence that was infinitely close to the ancient god. The background of such a force is far beyond my imagination. It shouldn't be something that I can deal with now. But fortunately, Senior Sister and the others can restrain him. This ancient god shouldn't pay attention to me. Ning Tian analyzed silently. Husband, how is it? Seeing Ning Tian frowning, Luo Wuqing walked over. Behind him, Lan Bing and the other Winter Spirit clan members also looked at him with awe. In their opinion, since Ning Tian was so powerful, their young miss must have found a good husband. Well, it's almost done. Ning Tian nodded. A glimmer of light flashed in his eyes as he looked at Luo Wuqing. There was one more important point. That was what the fake divine god said, the remnant force of the dark turmoil. He already knew most of it, but now that Di Tian and the others were still around, he didn't intend to say it now. Bai Lu, start working. Send the souls away. Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu. Well, Ovo. Bai Lu had just finished eating the popsicle. Her small mouth was cold. Holding the death bell, she floated toward the group of corpses. Then, she held the death bell with one hand and gently patted it twice with the other. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of the death bell kept ringing. Then, the fake divine god and his subordinates' corpses were shrouded in a cloud of death chi. Under the sound of the death bell, a wave of soul power emerged. Then, the corpses on the ground slowly dissipated. A strange energy poured into the death bell. On the surface of the pitch-black death bell, a luster flashed. Are you full? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu with a smile. Well, this time, I won't curse fellow Taoist Ning. Bai Lu hugged the death bell with satisfaction. Her death bell had a special characteristic, and that was to deliver souls. From there, she would obtain a certain amount of soul power. As a wandering little ghost, it was necessary to replenish her soul power. Thank you so much. Hearing this, Ning Tian could not help but roll his eyes at Bai Lu. Palace Master Dtion, you can break this array now, he said slowly as he looked at Dtion. Yes, Patriarch, Dtion replied confidently, and then walked to the front of the array formation, only to see the array formation crackling, even though the fake god had absorbed most of the energy. But this array formation was still very terrifying. That ancestral master. How do we break this formation? Dtion coughed dryly and scratched his head. He was very worried. He had clearly seen the fate of the fake heavenly god just now. It was simply too horrible to look at. Simple. You just need to use the power of the array formation and destroy the core of the array formation in the middle. Ningtian used the array formation eye and pointed at the weak point of the array formation. Yes, Patriarch. Dtion nodded. Then, he followed Ningtian's instructions and used the power of the array formation. He pressed on the core of the array formation slightly, and the array formation, which had already consumed a lot of energy, instantly broke. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the array formation broke, a terrifying cold air appeared in the entire myriad spirits' demon nest. That terrifying cold air swept through the surroundings, and everyone present quickly circulated their spiritual energy to resist it. The myriad spirits' demon nest has finally opened. However, since it's the young mistress, there shouldn't be a problem, Lan Bing muttered, and her gaze landed on Luo Wuqing. Boom boom. Cold air appeared. After the cold aura, an even colder aura appeared and rushed towards them. The cold air is getting worse. Dtion's expression changed slightly. This isn't cold air. It's demonic aura. Ningtian shook his head slightly and corrected him. Hide behind me and don't move. This demonic aura is a great tonic. A great tonic? Dtion and the others were stunned. This deadly thing is a great tonic? However, they didn't dare to hesitate and quickly hid behind Ningtian. Boom. The cold demonic aura rushed over. Ningtian flipped his hand, and a pitch-black demonic pagoda appeared in front of him. It also emitted demonic aura and sucked the cold demonic aura over. Buddha Demon Pagoda, collect. This demonic aura was a great tonic for the Buddha Demon Pagoda. After a long time, the cold air in the cave slowly dissipated. The second level is about to be opened, Ningtian murmured to herself. She slowly put the Buddha's Demon Pagoda in front of her into her storage ring. She glanced at the pitch-black cave, then glanced at Lan Bing. Lan Bing, have your winter spirit clansmen guard the cave. Follow us. There are some things that I need you to tell us. Yes. At this moment, Lan Bing looked at Ningtian with a trace of respect. After all, this person in front of her was the young Mrs. Lover. No matter what, she still had to give the young miss some face. Then, Lan Bing ordered a group of Winter Spirit clan members to guard the entrance of the Myriad Spirits Demon Cave. Let's go, Ningtian said, and took the lead to pull Luo Wuqing into the pitch-black cave. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and silently floated beside them. Only a small lion walked at the back. According to it, it wasn't afraid of death. It was just that Master Lion was brave enough to cover the rear for the ancestral master. Inside the pitch-black cave, the space was so vast that it exceeded everyone's imagination. From time to time, there would be gusts of cold wind blowing. The entire cave exuded a cold and eerie aura that made people feel a trace of dread. So, you mean to say that my wife's parents saved your Winter Spirit clan, so your Winter Spirit clan will serve the Luo clan for thousands of years? Ningtian looked at Lan Bing and asked calmly as the group walked into the cave. Along the way, Lan Bing told him the whole story. It was because she saved them that the Winter Spirit clan called Luo Wuqing Young Mississippi no. Lan Bing shook her head slightly. Her beautiful eyes fell on Ningtian and Luo Wuqing. She said seriously, to be precise, the Fire Domain's Luo clan has nothing to do with us. We only serve the young miss and her parents. I see. I understand. Ningtian nodded and rubbed his chin. At first, he thought that his cheap father-in-law might be a member of the Winter Spirit clan. But now, it seemed that wasn't the case. It seemed that his cheap father-in-law was also a bit mysterious, and one of the remnants of the dark turmoil, the Tianma cult. Interesting The heavenly demon cult of the celestial spirit region is a product of the dark turmoil. Interesting. I'm really looking forward to this. Ning Tian stroked his chin, a faint smile on his lips. That's right. One of the remnants of the dark turmoil mentioned by the fake sky god was the Tianma cult in the Myriad Spirits Demon Cave. Chapter 547. In the 10,000 Spirits Nest. With the help of the law of heavenly fire, everyone could see the path ahead clearly even in the darkness. This is strange. When I was outside the 10,000 Spirits Nest, I observed it through the array. It wasn't this complicated. Why is it so complicated now that I'm inside? Tian was a little confused when he saw the strange situation in the cave. Nonsense. How can you see through the winter spirit forbidden land? Lan Bing crossed her arms and sneered. She could be polite to Ning Tian and Luo Wuqing, but she didn't care about Tian at all. The spirit formation that seals the 10,000 spirits demon lair is not only an enormous spirit formation, it is also an illusion formation. You thought that you were able to see the scene inside through the spirit formation. However, that is merely the manifestation of the illusion formation. Ning Tian said indifferently, illusory spell formation? Tian was stunned for a moment before he suddenly came to a realization. Holy F***CK. Then wouldn't the soul formation mushroom that I saw from the outside also be fake? Of course. Ning Tian nodded. Hearing this, Tian lost his dream. After consuming the soul formation mushroom, it could increase one's understanding of arrays. But now, it was actually just an illusion array. Roar. At the side, the ceiling flame Lion King was gloating. A mere human had lost his dream just like that. How weak. He wasn't as smart as Master Lion at all. It thought as it swaggered away. Suddenly, the lion paw landed on the ground. Poochie. A sharp blade pierced through the lion paw, causing blood to spurt out. Roar. Someone plotted against Master Lion. Immediately after, the ceiling flame Lion King's fur exploded from its paw and instantly covered its entire body. A scream came out of its mouth instantly. Roar. However, before it could finish speaking, Ning Tian covered its mouth with spirit energy. Woo-woo. The ceiling flame Lion King felt wronged. It couldn't scream even when it was bleeding. What are you shouting for? Shut up. Ning Tian glared at it, then pulled its paw out of the ground. After stopping the bleeding, he pointed above everyone's heads. If you shout now, with your loud voice, you'll definitely shake off all the icicles above our heads. Everyone raised their heads. The top of his head was actually filled with flashing icicles. No wonder the ancestral master didn't allow us to shout loudly. If we weren't careful, the sound waves would have shaken off all of these ice spikes. A serious look flashed across Tian's eyes as he came to a sudden realization. But when were these icicles formed? There was nothing just now. The icicles above their heads were dozens of meters long and extremely hard. If they did not react in time and wanted to destroy them, they would be in danger. With the existence of the heavenly fire, you naturally didn't notice that the surroundings have become colder. The heavenly flames in Ning Tian's hands flickered as he looked at Tian and the others. Is it getting cold? Why didn't I feel anything? The expert from the Myriad Palace was stunned. Of course. Do you believe that if I withdraw the heavenly flames now, you'll immediately turn into a human-shaped popsicle? Ning Tian glanced at the expert from the Myriad Palace. Yes, I believe. The expert from the Myriad Palace immediately cowered. Husband, look at this. At this moment, Luo Wuqing's cold voice sounded from the side. Ning Tian furrowed her brows and immediately looked over. On the ground, there seemed to be a long handle that appeared. It was this thing that had pierced through the Lion King's foot. One had to know. The Lion King was now an ancestor god realm beast, which was equivalent to a divine beast. The hardness of its body was extraordinary. To be able to pierce through its foot, besides the fact that the Lion King was a little stupid, it also showed how sharp this thing was. Is this the thing? Ning Tian walked over and looked at the golden red blood on the tip of the long handle. As if thinking of something, He activated the heaven and earth locator in his heart. After searching for a while, his eyes lit up. I see. No wonder I couldn't find it no matter how hard I searched. It turns out that it's under our feet. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. He suddenly understood. Under our feet? Luo Wuqing frowned slightly and quickly reacted. You mean, the Tianma cult?
Yes.
Ning Tian nodded slightly and looked at Lan Bing. Lan Bing, protect my wife. Everyone, get ready. He looked at everyone. What are you getting ready for, Daoist Ning? Bai Lu hugged the death bell and asked. Of course, get ready to land. Ning Tian chuckled. The moment his voice fell, he heavily punched the ice below. At the same time, the heavenly flames in his hand burst out and a blazing flame appeared. The huge roar instantly shook the ice spikes off the top of his head, but he already had a way to deal with it. The moment the ice spikes fell, they were melted by the sea of fire formed by the heavenly flames, turning into white gas and dissipating. And on the ground, it was also under this punch that it instantly shattered. Everyone's bodies were caught off guard and fell to the ground. Oh whoa, oh whoa. The ceiling flame Lion King exclaimed. Wah, Daoist Ning, you. I want to curse you. Asterisk, 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 caret asterisk. Ah, where's my twig? Bai Lu hugged the death bell and also fell down. What are you cursing for? I'll confiscate your twig. I'll return it to you when we get out of this 10,000 spirits devil nest. Also, you didn't fall down. You're clearly floating down. After Ning Tian finished speaking, he fell down. It seemed that it was impossible to fly or step into the void here. You're right. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and thought, that's not right. Then return my twig to me. Hey. Bai Lu gritted her teeth and tried to catch up with Ning Tian. But because her body was light, no matter how hard she tried, she was floating. Bai Lu. Asterisk, 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 caret asterisk. Below, it was a completely different scene from above. This is, Tian and the others got up from the ground and looked at the scene in front of them in shock. Their expressions were as if they were touched. Below them was like a kingdom of ice and snow, surrounded by ice. Many buildings appeared in front of them, but they were all in a frozen state. In front of them, there were 2 stone statues that were 100 meters tall. Each of them held a long spear in their hands, but they were also in a frozen state. It was the long spear in the hand of one of the stone statues that rushed out of the ground and pierced through the Lion King's paw. What is this? Tian was shocked. Even he felt his heart palpitate when he looked at the 2 stone statues that were 100 meters tall. These 2 stone statues contained an extremely terrifying amount of energy. Even Lan Bing didn't expect that there would be such a scene in the 10,000 spirits devil nest. The Winter Spirit clan was only responsible for guarding it and didn't know anything about it. This is the so-called Tianma cult in the ice? Ning Tian looked over and led everyone. Let's go in and take a look. Chapter 548. Cold winds rustled around them. The entire area below them was frozen in ice. Everything around them was frozen as well. Hiss, it's so cold. Even Tian, a heavenly god, couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. He looked at Ning Tian, who was walking at the front. He couldn't help but ask, Ancestral Master, who exactly is this Tianma cult that you speak of? To think that it would be in this frozen sky. You haven't even heard of the Tianma cult of the 9 regions? Ning Tian asked with a slight frown. Although the Tianma cult was nothing special in the god domain, the Tianma cult of the 9 regions' heavenly spirit region was a top-notch faction. No, I ascended to the god domain a long time ago. Tian shook his head. You didn't, Ning Tian muttered. His eyes glinted. This was also what puzzled him. If even Tian hadn't heard of the Tianma cult, it meant that the Tianma cult hadn't appeared in the era of Tian's ascension. However, according to Luo Wuqing, the Tianma cult was named after the first sect master. That weakling heavenly demon was only a great emperor. He wasn't even as strong as the sect masters who came after him. How could such a weakling have anything to do with the dark turmoil that spread across the 9 regions of the profound sky continent and the god domain. However, according to the fake heavenly god's memories, the Tianma cult was a remnant of the dark turmoil. This was a little strange. Husband, there seems to be a strange energy in these two stone statues. The group stopped in front of the two giant stone statues. Luo Wuqing frowned slightly. The trace of spirit energy in her body instinctively stirred. She wasn't the only one. Even Lan Bing and Di Tian felt wary. Hearing this, Ning Tian raised his head and looked at the two stone statues. The two stone statues were several hundred meters tall. They held spears in their hands and looked mighty and domineering. However, there was something strange about them. The stone statues didn't have faces. It didn't look like they didn't carve them on purpose. They didn't have faces to begin with. Boom! Just as Ning Tian looked over, the pitch-black ancient pagoda in his storage ring shook violently and emitted a rumbling sound. It was as if the pagoda spirit of the Buddha demon pagoda had issued a prayer. Are you saying that you want to devour these two stone statues? Ning Tian frowned slightly. The pagoda spirit of the Buddha demon tower had not appeared for a long time. Even when it devoured the devil emperor Mo Xintian of the devil clan in the blood devil region, it did not appear. However, when it saw the two faceless stone statues, it showed such a desire. There seemed to be something mysterious about this faceless stone statue. Boom, boom. Within the storage ring, the pagoda spirit of the Buddha demon pagoda trembled slightly as a wave of information flowed into Ning Tian's mind. Faceless devil god? Does the two stone statues contain the origin energy of the two faceless demonic gods? Ning Tian's brows furrowed slightly as he sorted out the aura given to him by the pagoda spirit. Then, he took out the pagoda devil pagoda from his storage ring. Then, as you wish. Perhaps after devouring these two faceless devil gods, the second layer of the seal will be completely opened. Husband, what are you doing? Luo Wuqing looked over at Di Tian. These two stone statues are good stuff. Naturally, I have to take them with me. Ning Tian chuckled as he lifted the pagoda devil pagoda in his hand. His gaze landed on the two stone statues. They are 100 meters tall. How are we going to take them with us? Di Tian frowned. Mine is bigger and taller than his. Ning Tian smiled as a wisp of demonic aura appeared in his hand. Then, he gently tossed the pagoda devil pagoda into the air. A terrifying wave of demonic aura surged out from the pagoda devil pagoda, instantly attracting the attention of Di Tian and the others. It's that strange demonic pagoda again. Di Tian's expression was solemn. He had just witnessed the terror of the pagoda devil pagoda, and the memory was still fresh in his mind. Boom! The pagoda devil pagoda floated in the air and suddenly grew bigger. It became even bigger, taller, and thicker than the stone statues. Then, a terrifying wave of demonic aura flowed out, instantly releasing a powerful suction force. The two stone statues let out a cracking sound, followed by a series of explosions. They saw the stone statues were being sucked into the pagoda devil pagoda. The pagoda devil pagoda shrunk back to the size of a palm and returned to Ning Tian's hand. Not bad. I didn't expect the pagoda devil pagoda to have such a suction force. The next time I go to the central galaxy, won't I be able to absorb a lot of treasures? Let's make a trip to the Myriad Elephant Palace first, Ning Tian muttered as he stroked his chin. Di Tian, Ancestral Master, can you not conspire so loudly? I'm still here. Let's go. After putting the two stone statues into the pagoda devil pagoda, Ning Tian flipped his hand and stored them in his storage ring. Next, he would let the pagoda devil pagoda slowly absorb and digest them. And he was going to go even deeper. Along the way, Ning Tian and the others discovered something shocking. This place had the entire Tianma cult in the god domain. The main hall, the training room, the forging room, and so on were all there. However, there was a layer of ice on everything. Even the heavenly fire laws couldn't melt it. Everything seemed to have happened out of the blue. A gust of wind and snow covered the entire Tianma cult. Husband, look. At this moment, Luo Wuqing and Lan Bing, who were walking in front, seemed to have seen something. Luo Wuqing turned around and looked at Ning Tian with a serious expression. Hearing this, Ning Tian quickly walked over. Bai Lu carried the death bell and floated over. As for Di Tian, he also had a small lion on his head. He led a group of myriad elephant palace experts and quickly followed. In front of them, it looked like the training field of the Tianma cult in the God domain. However, it was also covered in snow. Only a layer of ice was left. Luo Wuqing and Han Bing stood beside the training field and looked at the scene below. This is when Ning Tian walked over and his eyes landed on the training field. His pupils shrank. So many souls. Bai Lu's eyes lit up. On the training field, rows of Tianma cult disciples were standing in the training field. Their bodies were all frozen. They were tightly locked in ice. At a glance, there were at least tens of thousands of people. These people, were they all frozen in the ice in an instant? When he saw this scene, Di Tian could not help but swallow his saliva. A solemn look flashed across his eyes. Being frozen inside without any preparation, this scene was akin to being faced with a bunch of dried corpses. It made one's hair stand on end. Moreover, they were all caught off guard. Ning Tian nodded slightly. Seeing the reverence in these frozen people's eyes, it was enough to show that they were frozen in an instant when they saw someone with a high status in the Tianma cult. Then, are they dead? Bai Lu hugged the death bell. She couldn't wait to send her soul away. I've been too busy recently. I just got home and hurriedly wrote. There are still 2 chapters left. Once I'm done, I'll post it. I'm begging for banknotes. I've lost a few thousand this week. Chapter 549. As soon as Bai Lu finished her words, Ning Tian smacked the death bell's head. Instantly, a crisp sound was heard. It was a good bell. Daoist Ning, what are you doing? Asterisk, 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 caret, asterisk, asterisk. Bai Lu cried out in pain. She then hugged the death bell with one hand and covered her forehead with the other. The death bell had always been this lady's body. Who told you that these people are dead? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu with annoyance. He pointed at the group of frozen people on the training square and said slowly with a serious tone, although these cultivators are frozen, their lives are not in danger. There is still a trace of vitality in their bodies. If they are unfrozen, they will be able to wake up. They didn't freeze to death in such cold weather? This is unbelievable. Hearing Ning Tian's words, Di Tian frowned and looked serious. Under normal circumstances, they will naturally die. Ning Tian chuckled. Light flashed in his eyes as he looked at the training square. But what if the person who froze them doesn't want them to die? Di Tian was stunned and seemed to understand something. Let's go. Let's go and take a look, Ning Tian said and walked towards the training square. Luo Wuqing and the other 2 ladies quickly followed. The group walked towards the training square. The further they walked, the colder they could feel. This was obviously the place with the most severe cold in the Tianma cult in the entire divine domain. Husband, did you notice that every person who was sealed in ice had a black talisman on their neck? Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes swept across the frozen people. After observing carefully, she said slowly, I saw it. Ning Tian nodded slightly. These people who had been sealed in ice all had this kind of ancient, pitch-black rune on their necks. However, he could not tell what kind of matrix it was. It seemed that he could only memorize it and ask Yishuang and the others about it in the future. However, the only thing he could be sure of was that these ancient black charms must be the reason why these people were frozen. Palace Lord Di Tian. At this moment, Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Di Tian and asked with a frown, You said before that the person with the strongest usage of the laws of ice in the divine realm is who? The strongest expert in the laws of ice? Without any hesitation, Di Tian said, This is naturally the ice goddess, the ice goddess. There is no doubt about that. Ice god, Ning Tian murmured. He could clearly sense that the ice that enveloped the Tianma cult of the god's domain was condensed from extremely powerful laws of ice. This was also the reason why he and Luo Wuqing couldn't use heavenly fire to melt it. Because the ice goddess was stronger than them, her power of law was naturally above theirs. This ice god might be related to this place. If we are fated, we can find an opportunity to find out more about it. Ning Tian rubbed his chin and looked at the frozen people one last time before looking at Luo Wuqing. Dear, how do you want to verify it? He didn't forget that the main purpose of coming to the Tiamat cult of the God's domain was to verify some of the things that Luo Wuqing discovered in the 9 regions Tanimo cult. Follow me, Luo Wuqing said. She pulled Ning Tian's hand and went deeper into the Tiamat cult. Seeing this, the group of people followed behind. In a frozen hall, Luo Wuqing looked at the stone statue in front of her. A glint flashed in her beautiful eyes. As expected, there is a similar stone statue here. This is the demonic god stone book. Surprisingly, the stone statue in front of her wasn't frozen by the ice. 2 balls of green fire appeared around it. The stone statue stood there, giving people a strong sense of oppression. And this stone statue was the stone statue in the Tiamat cult's forbidden area. Chapter 2. Demonic God Stone Book? What is that? Hearing Luo Wuqing's words, Ning Tian frowned. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. The demonic God Stone Book is an ancient stone statue in the Tiamat cult's forbidden area. It has existed since the establishment of the Tiamat cult, Luo Wuqing slowly explained. At first, I followed the instructions of the first cult master, the heavenly demon, to find the heavenly god body. I thought that the demonic God Stone Book could provide the path to godhood. I didn't expect it to be a lie from the heavenly demon. Hearing this, Ning Tian nodded slightly. Naturally, he knew a little about this matter. His wife was from the god's domain. In the god's domain, the path to godhood was obtained through cultivation. However, the ancient heavenly gods and the others had built the path to godhood in the 9 regions. As a result, if one wanted to ascend to the 9 regions, they could only go through the ancient road to godhood. Later, I planned to give up. However, after a period of research, I discovered that there was more than one statue of the demonic God Stone Book. Moreover, there was my father's aura on it. This meant that my father had also studied the demonic God Stone Book. Now, it seems that it was indeed the case. There are 2 statues of the demonic God Stone Book. If we open them at the same time, we might be able to obtain some information. Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes landed on the demonic God Stone Book as she slowly said, Wife, when did you have this research? Why didn't I know about it? Hearing Luo Wuqing's words, Ning Tian's face was filled with confusion. Of course you didn't know. You have been cultivating all this time. How would you know? Luo Wuqing rolled her eyes at Ning Tian. Cough. Ning Tian dryly coughed. After all, people have to work hard. If I didn't work hard, how could I go from 0 to where I am now in 4 years? That's true. Youngsters nowadays have to work hard. Only by working hard can one step from 0 to where they are now in 4 years. At the side, Di Tian stroked his beard and said logically, it was never wrong for youngsters to work hard. Wait a minute, 4 years? From 0 to where they are now? Holy shit. Ancestor, you only used your yearning to reach where you are now. Di Tian suddenly came to his senses. His eyes widened, and he almost pulled his beard off. That's right. I worked hard enough, right? Ning Tian said with a smile. You work hard. What the F***CK? As Di Tian was too agitated, Ning Tian didn't hear what he said clearly. Work hard? Sorry, this god just took back that sentence. This isn't called working hard. It's called cheating. F***CK. Di Tian finally calmed down a little. You have shocked Di Tian. You have shocked the experts of the Myriad Elephant Palace. Reward, remote assistance trial card 1 time. Invalid after use. Just as Di Tian lost his composure, the system's voice rang out in his mind. Remote assistance trial card? What's that? Hearing this, Ning Tian frowned. A trace of doubt flashed across his eyes. However, the system didn't explain further. At this moment, Luo Wuqing was already walking towards the demonic God Stone Book. Honey, be careful. Seeing this, Ning Tian reminded her. I will. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. She raised her jade-like hand and touched the demonic God Stone Book. Author's words. There's one more update. I'm working hard on writing. Chapter 550. That jade-like hand landed on the Demon God Stone Classic. Luo Wuqing circulated the Tianma cult's cultivation technique, and a wisp of black air flowed out. Instantly, the entire Demon God Stone Classic lit up, and a dark light gradually appeared. Everyone's gaze landed on the Demon God Stone Classic. Luo Wuqing's delicate body surged with spirit qi, and that flaming long dress fluttered without any wind, outlining her perfect body. At that moment, Di Tian and the other Wanxiang Palace experts were temporarily blinded because they didn't dare to look at the sword in their patriarch's hand. On the surface, it was as if he would poke anyone who dared to look. They couldn't afford to offend the wife-protecting maniac. Soon, the dark light on the Demon God Stone Classic slowly dissipated. After it was completely lit up, it actually faded a little. In the end, only half of the Demon God Stone Classic was lit up. Seeing this, Luo Wuqing frowned slightly. Big Sister Empress, you just said that there are 2 Demon Godstone Classics. If half of it is lit up now, would it be necessary to light up both Demon Godstone Classics at the same time for it to be effective? Bai Lu hugged Death Bell and looked at Luo Wuqing as she spoke. Luo Wuqing pondered for a moment and felt that Bai Lu's words made sense. However, she frowned and said, "But we are now in the divine domain. How can we light up 2 Demon God Stone Classics at the same time? Moreover, this Demon God Stone Classic can't be taken away." "Then I don't know." Bai Lu hugged Death Bell and expressed that she couldn't help. Light up 2 Demon God Stone Classics at the same time. Hearing this, Ning Tian touched his chin and seemed to have thought of something. "Husband, do you have a way?" Luo Wuqing looked over with her beautiful eyes. "Perhaps." Ning Tian nodded slightly and muttered in his heart, "System. Use the remote assistance trial card." Using the remote assistance trial card. "Host, please select the location to place the remote assistance clone." When the remote assistance trial card was successfully used, the system's voice sounded in Ning Tian's mind. "Place, Heavenly Spirit Region, Tianma Cult." Placing. Tianxian Land, 9 domains. Heavenly Spirit Region, Tianma Cult. In the blink of an eye, a few years had passed. Although the ancestral empress had left the celestial spirit region for many years, the Tianma cult was still as powerful as ever. The Tianma cult was still the most powerful force in the celestial spirit region. Because, even if the ancestral master, the empress, and the holy master had left, the forces of the sky spirit realm still followed the Tianma cult. In the heavenly devil hall, Supreme Elder, you finally have the chance to use your 100,000 tons of construction materials. Haha. Zhu Yuanbua couldn't help but laugh as he bit the horse meat in his hand. Hearing this, the Grand Elder's face darkened. Damn it. He thought that the Tianma cult would be safe after the Patriarch and the Lion King left. However, as soon as a silly dragon from the firmament territory landed, the word dismantle appeared in the sky. He was stunned. F***CK. How could there be a descendant of the heaven-demolishing gate in the 9 realms? Sigh. Hurry up and get some nourishment. The Grand Elder sighed and waved at Zhu Yuanbua. Next week, Princess Yu and that girl, Yuqin, will be visiting the Tianma cult. We can't let them see this. Okay. Zhu Yuanbao finished the horse meat in one gulp and chuckled. I never thought that Princess Moon's spirit would actually be able to ascend to the throne in just a few years. This is simply unbelievable. However, that girl Yuqin is coming. This time, I must eat some good horse meat. Hee. Zhu Yuanbua's laughter faded away. Only the Grand Elder was left in the hall. The Grand Elder didn't sit on the high seat in the heavenly devil hall because in his mind, only the ancestral master and the empress could sit there. He sighed. I wonder how the ancestral master and the empress are doing in the divinity region. How many children have they had? Don't worry. We are doing well, but the children are not. At this moment, there was a soft laugh. Ancestral master? Hearing this familiar voice, the Grand Elder was stunned. Then, he turned his head. What the hell? Ancestral master. What happened to you? Ancestral Master, are you dead? Did you die and your soul return to the Tianma cult? Ancestral Master, I am loyal to the Tianma cult. You can't come and take my soul. Looking at Ning Tian, who was completely made of blue shadows, the Grand Elder suddenly felt that the Ancestral Master was most likely dead. So, he turned into a soul and returned to his hometown. Ning Tian, this old man, damn it, I'm not dead. I'm living well. Ning Tian glared at the Grand Elder and said, Don't talk nonsense. This is just a small trick of mine. I am still in the divinity region. Now, I need you to do something for me. What is it? What is it? The Grand Elder looked at him in confusion. That is, Ning Tian cut to the chase and did not waste any time. Forbidden area? Okay, I'll go. The Grand Elder nodded slightly. Then, without any hesitation, he went directly to the back mountain of the Tianma cult. Although it was a forbidden area, now that he had the Ancestral Master's permission, he would naturally enter. Ning Tian followed behind him. Tianma cult's forbidden area. In front of him, there was indeed a demonic god stone book. This stone book is actually shining. Seeing the demonic god stone book emitting a burst of light, the Grand Elder couldn't help but be stunned. Sure enough, Bai Lu's guess was right. Ning Tian muttered when he saw this, and a wisp of bright light flashed through his eyes. He naturally understood why the demonic god stone tome was glowing so brightly. It was because Luo Wuqing was activating it. The two were indeed one. Now, perhaps he only needed to light up half of it to completely light it up. Grand Elder, use your spiritual energy to light up this demonic god stone book. Ning Tian looked at the Grand Elder and ordered. He was now only a remote assistant, so he couldn't use his spiritual energy. Yes, Ancestral Master. The Grand Elder walked over, but when his hand landed on it, there was no reaction. Wife, are you saying that you need the Tianma cult's cultivation method? The Grand Elder looked at Ning Tian in front of him and muttered to himself. Okay, I got it, Ning Tian said. Then, the Grand Elder saw the light of the demonic god stone book that had just lit up dissipate. After a while, it lit up again. Come, learn it for me now. Ning Tian walked over with a ball of light in his hand. This, Ancestral Master, this old man is stupid. It might take a long time. The Grand Elder hesitated. Don't worry. Even if you are a fool, I can let you learn it in a second. It's very simple. Ning Tian said casually. The ball of light in his hand was naturally the ball of light under the skill, Dispel Doubts. He just took the time to learn it. Now, he could teach the Grand Elder. Yes, Ancestral Master. Hearing this, the Grand Elder didn't doubt him. 1 second later, the Grand Elder raised his hand and touched the demonic god stone book. Then, he used his spiritual energy. Soon, the demonic god stone book erupted with a bright luster. A rumbling sound appeared as if something. It's coming out. Author's words, I made it in time. I've been too busy recently. The update is very late. I'll try to update earlier tomorrow. Chapter 551. When the two auras converged on the demonic god stone book at the same time, the half-lit book instantly lit up, and a terrifying aura erupted from it. Whether it was in the Tianma cult's main hall or in the forbidden area of the Tianjin cult, a terrifying aura lit up. What a powerful force. What is this thing? The Great Elder's expression changed slightly. He could feel the earth shaking all around him. He was afraid that the entire Tianma cult had been affected by the abnormal movement here. Calm down. Don't worry about what's happening. Just calm down, Great Elder. Ning Tian's expression was solemn as she spoke with a solemn tone. Yes, Ancestral Master. The Great Elder had always obeyed Ning Tian's words. Hearing this, he nodded heavily, then took a deep breath. His old face flushed red, and he circulated all his spiritual energy. What he needed to do now was to maintain the circulation of his spiritual energy. Luo Wuqing could hold on, but it was a bit hard to say for the Great Elder. The whole process lasted for a full hour. The Tiamat cult's elders and disciples went from panic to confusion. Since the abnormal movement at the back of the mountain just now, the entire Tiamat cult had sunk into an earthquake. But no one was injured. Only the Tiamat cult's buildings were damaged. This made the elders and disciples somewhat suspicious. Had the ancestral master returned? In the back of the mountain, phew, the great elder breathed a long sigh of relief. His face was covered in sweat. He had released all his spiritual energy, and he felt like his body had been hollowed out. Great elder, you've worked hard, Ning Tian said, then looked at the demonic god stone book. At this moment, the demonic god stone book was emitting a ray of light. The two golden lights on the stone statue were like a pair of eyes. At this moment, this pair of eyes was looking at his feet. This kind of change was not present in the statue in the Tiamat cult's main hall. It seemed that the demonic god stone book in the forbidden area of the Tiamat cult was the most important object. Supreme Elder, dig out the area that the stone statue is looking at. Ning Tian pointed at the foot of the demonic god stone tome and said to the Grand Elder. At this moment, he was only a remote helper and couldn't use his spiritual energy. Therefore, he still needed the Grand Supreme Elder to do it. Since he was a tool, he had to be a tool to the end. Yes, Patriarch. The Supreme Elder nodded slightly. Then, according to Ning Tian's instructions, he used his spiritual energy to dig up the ground under the demonic god stone tome. He dug up to a depth of tens of meters. Patriarch, look. When they dug tens of meters deep, the Grand Elder saw a cloud of black gas below. Stay away from it. Don't bother about it. Ning Tian's pupils constricted when he saw the black energy, and a wisp of fear flashed through his eyes. After that, he hurriedly asked the Supreme Elder to leave. The black energy was so troublesome that even he was afraid of it, let alone the Supreme Elder. Yes. Hearing that, the Supreme Elder hurriedly distanced himself. Boom. When the cloud of black gas appeared, the golden light on the demonic god stone tome was extinguished in an instant. The black gas rushed out from the pit and rushed towards the demonic god stone tome. Boom, boom, bang. Then, a terrifying aura erupted from the demonic god stone tome and spread out in all directions. Boom. Even the Supreme Elder was sent flying, crashing heavily into the walls of the forbidden area. Supreme Elder, are you all right? Ning Tian quickly looked at the Supreme Elder who was lying on the ground. He wasn't affected. After all, he was only a remote helper. Cough. This old man is fine. Cough. I won't die. The Supreme Elder coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. He waved his hand and circulated his cultivation technique to adjust his aura. Seeing that the Supreme Elder was fine, Ning Tian nodded and looked at the demonic god stone tome. At this moment, the demonic god stone tome that was originally shining with golden light was now shining with golden light and darkness. It looked like a chaotic object. What's the meaning of its existence after activating the demonic god stone tome? Ning Tian rubbed his chin and looked puzzled. The remote helper experience card was useless after it was used up. If he couldn't figure it out, it would be difficult for him to return to the 9 regions Tiamat cult. He looked over and looked at the demonic god stone tome. He pondered for a moment. After a while, he reacted abruptly. The golden aura and the black gas complemented each other. It looked invisible and illusory, but it vaguely formed a formation. This is a sealing formation. Ning Tian's eyes lit up. He took a deep breath and came to this conclusion. He immediately activated the Eye of Formation and looked at it. Soon, he saw through the mysteries of the formation. This formation is very strange. It's not difficult, but it's also not simple. When the demonic god stone tome was lit up at the same time, the formation was actually unlocked. Although it looked simple, it was also very difficult. If he didn't have the remote helper experience card, he wouldn't have been able to do it. Who thought of this formation? It's really mysterious. Ning Tian said silently and then looked at the demonic god stone tome. The demonic god stone tome was shining. Ning Tian looked at it and their eyes met. This scene was like looking at each other from a distance of millions of years. Suddenly, That light seemed to carry a huge amount of information that surged into Ning Tian's mind. All sorts of images flashed through his mind, including all sorts of experts and all sorts of battles. The scene dissipated after a few seconds, but the memory it contained was very large. So that's it. It turns out that the remnants of the dark chaos didn't refer to the entire Tianma cult, but a person in the Tianma cult. Then it makes sense. It's just that I never thought it would be him. Ning Tian's eyes flashed, revealing a complicated look. The memory in his mind slowly dissipated. Ancestral Master, what happened? Why is the stone statue broken? At this moment, the Supreme Elder seemed to have recovered. He slowly got up and couldn't help but look over with some doubts. I'm fine. The demonic god stone tome is broken? Ning Tian slightly waved his hand. Hearing the Supreme Elder's words, he looked over and saw that the demonic god stone tome was broken. It seemed that after the information was transmitted, the demonic god stone tome also lost its energy. However, all of this was worth it. Supreme Elder, it's been hard on you. The Tianma cult has developed well in your hands. Ning Tian patted the Supreme Elder's shoulder. Ancestral Master, are you leaving? Moon Queen and that girl Yuqin will be here soon. Don't you want to see your old friends? Hearing Ning Tian's words, the Supreme Elder immediately knew that Ning Tian was preparing to leave and return to the Divine Realm. Moon Queen? That girl Yuling? I didn't expect that she really became an emperor. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows and chuckled. No, I still have things to deal with in the Divine Realm. See you there later. The Divine Realm, it's too difficult. I may not be able to set foot in the Divine Realm in my lifetime. The Supreme Elder's expression was somewhat bitter. Hearing this, Ning Tian was silent for a moment. Then, a ray of light appeared in his hand, and he handed it to the Supreme Elder. This is the cultivation method of the road to God. Pass it down and cultivate it when you become a 9 tribulation great emperor. Now that there is no ancient road to God, the world of the 9 regions will soon change. After that, Ning Tian's body slowly turned illusory. The ancient road to God is gone? The Supreme Elder was taken aback and somewhat confused. Yes, it was torn down by me. Ning Tian chuckled and his figure slowly dissipated. It was torn down by the Ancestral Master? The Supreme Elder's eyes widened. When he looked up suddenly, he found that Ning Tian had already disappeared. He couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. After this farewell, I don't know when we will meet again. The Ancestral Master is really too much. He left just like that. This old man wanted to give him this Imperial Maiden painting to see. In the forbidden area of the back mountain, the Supreme Elder's muttering became softer and softer. In the Tianma cult of the Divine Realm, in a frozen hall, the remote assistance trial card has expired. The remote assistance trial card has dissipated. In his mind, the system's voice sounded at this moment. Phew! Ning Tian breathed a long sigh of relief. A complicated glimmer flashed in his eyes. The demon god's stone cannon in front of them had also turned into gravel, just like the one in the forbidden area of the back mountain. Husband, what's the result? Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian. Bai Lu, Lan Bing, and the others also looked at him curiously. They only saw the Ancestral Master in a daze. They didn't know what Ning Tian did. Yes. Wife, come with me. There are some things I want to talk to you about alone. Ning Tian nodded. A complicated look flashed in his eyes as he looked at Luo Wuqing. He took her hand and walked toward the Tianma cult of the Divine Realm. Bai Lu and the others saw this scene and very sensibly waited in place. This husband and wife must have an intimate conversation. Husband, what's wrong? Luo Wuqing let Ning Tian take her hand. Her beautiful eyes looked at him with a trace of confusion. I've come to some conclusions. Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing with a dignified look. He said slowly, Wife, you should know that the first leader of the Tianma cult was the heavenly demon, right? Yes, Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. But the heavenly demon was only inspired by someone else. It's said to be inspired, but in fact it was ordered. That person is actually... Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing, but he was interrupted by her before he could finish. That person is actually my father, right? Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes were calm. She looked at Ning Tian. When she said this, her voice didn't even change. It was as if everything was under her control. Yes, Ning Tian nodded. The memory fragments in the demonic god stone book all came from one person. That person was Luo Wuqing's father. Wife, how do you know this? If I say it's a woman's intuition, would you believe me? Luo Wuqing's cold face showed a rare smile. She looked at Ning Tian and said softly, since childhood, my father often told me stories about the Tianma cult. From his words, he was very familiar with the Tianma cult. That feeling, it was as if he had been guarding the Tianma cult from beginning to end. But he said that he was only the seventh leader. This is obviously illogical. Luo Wuqing said softly. Hearing this, Ning Tian couldn't help but curl his lips. Wife, have you been paying attention to details since childhood? Perhaps Luo Wuqing's father didn't expect his daughter to be so smart. But wife, there's one thing you've guessed correctly. Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing. That is, you suspect that the disappearance of your parents has something to do with the dark turmoil. But in fact, your father was a strong man who survived the dark turmoil. That's right. The forces left behind by the dark turmoil that the fake sky god mentioned were not the Tianma cult, but Luo Wuqing's father, the one who truly founded the Tianma cult. That person was the one who had truly survived the dark turmoil until now. According to the information from the demonic god stone book, one could conclude that Luo Wuqing's father had played an extremely important role in the dark turmoil, and the force he was in at that time was called the Sky Demon Clan. The Sky Demon Clan was not a demon clan, but more like a god and a demon. But what did this cheap father-in-law want to do by marrying into the Luo family? Was it because he was an old cow eating young grass? It should be known that if he had survived the dark turmoil and played an extremely important role, then his strength must not be weaker than Sky God Shenyang, or even stronger. But what was all this for? The two fell into silence. Obviously, no one would have thought that Luo Wuqing's father had such a relationship with the dark turmoil. Wife, don't tell grandfather about this matter first. The strangeness of it is not something we can grasp now. Ning Tian looked at the frozen Tianma cult and murmured, it's very likely that everything here was arranged by him. Yes, I know. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. She also understood the importance of this matter. It was very likely that there was a shocking secret behind the Tianma cult. Let's go. When we come to a conclusion, all this fog will dissipate. After saying that, Ning Tian led Luo Wuqing into the main hall. Although they knew that there was something fishy about this place, now was not the time to unravel the fog. The time was not yet ripe. After the two returned to the main hall, they led the group to search the hall again. When they did not miss any useful information, they decided to leave. What a pity. I thought that there would be array heart mushrooms here. Tian couldn't help but sigh heavily as the group left the myriad spirits' nest. They had come here, but in the end, they had fallen into an illusory array and gained nothing. It was simply a wasted trip. They had simply been workers the entire way. Lanbing, continue to guard this place with your winter spirit clan. Remember, don't let anyone enter. Luo Wuqing turned to Lanbing and instructed her. After everyone left the 10,000 spirits demon lair, the formation that enveloped the area lit up once again. Yes, young mistress. Lanbing nodded. Even without Luo Wuqing's order, she would continue to guard this place. We will have to come here again sooner or later. Ning Tian glanced at the myriad spirits' nest. The secrets hidden here would be revealed sooner or later. Just as the group stepped onto the void ship and was about to leave the northern chill star region, there was a sudden roar between heaven and earth. Then, a huge wave of demonic chi emerged from the sky. What is going on? What a powerful demonic chi! On the void ship, Tian's expression changed when he saw the huge wave of demonic chi. His eyes were filled with fear. Such a huge wave of demonic chi. Could it be that an almighty from the monster god realm had appeared? This aura is somewhat familiar. Ning Tian looked up at the sky. If he was not mistaken, This aura should belong to the nine-tailed fox that took Suyueyao away that day. Now that the nine-tailed fox had appeared, could it be that something had happened to Suyueyao? Thinking of this, Ning Tian frowned and couldn't help but worry. At this moment, a jade-like hand gently grabbed his hand and gave him a comforting look. Husband, don't worry. With Yueyao's talent and the nine-tailed fox, there shouldn't be a problem. Luo Wuqing looked at him with relief. I hope so. Ning Tian heaved a long sigh of relief. At this moment, the huge wave of demonic qi in the sky condensed. Then, a white figure appeared on the deck of the void ship. Her fur was as white as snow, and she exuded a noble aura. It was the nine-tailed fox. Senior Heavenly Fox. Ning Tian bowed slightly. No matter what, the nine-tailed fox could be considered half of Su Yueyao's senior. Since she was his concubine's senior, she was naturally his senior as well. Senior Heavenly Fox? It is indeed the nine-tailed fox. I didn't expect that the ancestral master would have dealings with the nine-tailed fox, one of the strongest monster gods in the monster god realm. Di Tian was shocked. You have shocked Di Tian. Reward: Monster God Realm Random Event Card. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in his mind. This time, it was another random event card. Ning Tian silently put away the Monster God Realm Random Event Card. He looked at the nine-tailed fox and asked, Senior Heavenly Fox, are you looking for me because of Yueyao? Is Yueyao well? He was not in a hurry to find Su Yueyao because Yi Shuang and the others had already gathered information for him. Su Yueyao was currently in the most important stage of her cultivation and should not be disturbed. Yes, the nine-tailed fox nodded slightly. At this moment, it was only a few meters long. Although it had an imposing aura, its figure was somewhat illusory. It was obvious that it was just a clone. Its eyes fell on Ning Tian. Long story short, Yueyao is now in the final stage of her cultivation, and she needs your help at this stage. Right now, I'm just an incarnation, Lin Feng said. When you go to the Monster God Realm, go directly to the Divine Fox Valley. If anyone tries to stop you, kill them. After that, a gust of demonic wind blew, and the nine-tailed fox disappeared from the void ship. It left just like that? Seeing this scene, Di Tian could not help but be a little confused. The nine-tailed fox came quickly and left quickly. Were all the powerhouses of the monster god realm so willful? It seems that something has happened to Yueyao. Ning Tian frowned slightly, and a hint of seriousness flashed in his eyes. And it might not be just Yueyao who is in trouble. The Divine Fox Valley might also be in trouble. Something happened to the Divine Fox Valley? Why? Bai Lu hugged Death Bell and looked at him in confusion. Because of one sentence from the nine-tailed fox, Luo Wuqing said calmly, If anyone tries to stop you, kill them. Author's words, I really don't have any status. I'll update 5,000 words today. If I'm missing 1,000 words, I'll add 2,000 words tomorrow. Then, I'll update 8,000 words tomorrow. Sorry, I really don't have any status. Chapter 552. If someone tries to stop us, then we'll kill them. Luo Wuqing's cold voice rang out as she repeated the nine-tailed celestial fox's last words. Hearing this, Bai Lu was stunned for a moment. She hugged the death bell and thought hard. After a while, she came to her senses. The nine-tailed celestial fox is saying that she's certain that the demon god region isn't peaceful. She's certain that someone will try to stop Brother Ning? Yes. Luo Wuqing nodded. Actually, the nine-tailed celestial fox wants to use me to get rid of some demon gods. Or rather, she wants to use her connection with the heavenly palace. Ning Tian's eyes flashed as he said with a smile, However, I can get rid of them. Of course, I'll have to pay a certain price. However, I'll bargain with the nine-tailed celestial fox in the future. Right now, it's more important to help Yu Yao. The demon god region was quite a distance away from the middle region. If they moved now, it would probably take 10 days to half a month. The demon god region. At the side, Di Tian mumbled to himself, The demon divine region is indeed not peaceful. Although the demon divine region is a branch of the demon race, there are still undercurrents flowing within. The four great demon races and the other races are all unhappy with each other. They all want to be the strongest in the demon god region. Although the demon god region was a large region, it was not as peaceful as the fire region. The four great demon races. Hearing this, Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something. In the 9 regions, he had only met the immortal dragon race. He had never seen the other 3 great demon races. Moreover, there was an old acquaintance in the demon god region. This place is quite far from the demon god region. There's no time to lose. Let's move quickly. Ning Tian had already used the Heaven and Earth locator to locate the Fox God Valley. Oh right, D Tian, you guys go back first. It's not convenient for you to follow me on this trip. Before they prepared to head to the demon god region, Ning Tian looked at D Tian and said slowly, Hearing Ning Tian's words, D Tian was stunned for a moment. After which, he seriously looked at Ning Tian and asked, Does Ancestor not need our Wanxiang Palace's tools, experts to follow you? He thought that no matter how strong the patriarch was, he would at least need a few helpers, right? After all, D Tian was aware that he was being used as a tool. No need. The demon god domain is the territory of the demon clan. If you follow them, you will cause unnecessary trouble. Ning Tian waved his hand. For the sake of the big picture, it was better not to use these tools. But Patriarch. Hearing this, D Tian scratched his head and asked hesitantly, Aren't you all humans as well? We are naturally human, but we have a background. Ning Tian looked at D Tian and said seriously, If the demon gods of the demon god realm want to touch us, they might have to think twice before doing so. But you guys are different. If you want to touch them, you will naturally do so. D Tian fell silent when he heard Ning Tian's heart-wrenching words. Although the patriarch's words were a little heart-wrenching, they were not without reason. I understand. Then, Patriarch, we will return to the Central Star region first. We will meet again if fate allows. D Tian bowed slightly and was about to leave with the experts of the Myriad Elephant Palace when Ning Tian's voice rang out behind him again. Wait. Is there anything else, Patriarch? D Tian turned around and looked over. Just cast any array. Ning Tian did not waste any time and said indifferently, Yes. D Tian was stunned. Then, he obeyed. He activated the array in his hand, and an array that contained energy appeared in his hand. At the same time, Ning Tian looked over as well. A flickering light flashed in his eyes. That was the effect of the array eye. After observing for a while, he looked at D Tian and said, Your array is a little unstable. The main reason is that you are too focused on the pursuit of the array heart. As a result, the surrounding array is much weaker. The pursuit of the array heart has caused the surrounding array to weaken. Hearing this, D Tian was stunned on the spot. After a while, he suddenly reacted as if he had been enlightened. He muttered to himself, No wonder I would feel that something was wrong every time I cast the array. Thank you, Patriarch, for your guidance. D Tian looked at Ning Tian with gratitude and thanked him solemnly. It's fine. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly. Since you have come with me, I will not let you return empty-handed. Hearing this, D Tian was touched. He bowed to Ning Tian and was grateful in his heart. Thank you, Patriarch. If there is anything you need from the Myriad Elephant Palace in the future, Patriarch can let me know at any time. After speaking, he moved and left the void ship with the experts of the Myriad Elephant Palace. They headed towards the Central Star region. Let's go to. Ning Tian locked onto the direction of the Demon God region and said to the few of them, Okay. The 2 women nodded slightly. Little Lion, take the helm. Let's set sail. Target. Demon God region. Roar. Demon God region. In the entire Demon God region, most of the demon clans were gathered here. Naturally, the 9-tailed fox was not the only demon god in the entire Demon God region. This also caused the relationship in the entire Demon God region to be very subtle. At this very moment, Fox God Valley. Have you heard? The half-demon girl that the Sky Fox demon god brought back 2 years ago seems to be coming out of seclusion. It is said that the Sky Fox demon god had already designated her as the successor of the demon god region when he brought her back. What is the background of this half-demon girl? Why does the Sky Fox demon god trust her so much? You have to know. If she wants to become the successor of the demon god region, the 4 major demon clans might not agree. At this moment, many experts of the demon clans were discussing in the Fox God Valley. They were quite unfamiliar with Suiwayao, who the 9-tailed fox had brought back 2 years ago. However, the Sky Fox demon god had given such a stranger the highest position. In the Fox God's seclusion area, a beautiful figure was sitting cross-legged. The 9 furry foxtails behind her swayed and covered her body. Her beautiful eyes were tightly shut. Traces of cold sweat slid down her beautiful face. Her eyelashes fluttered slightly as if she was about to wake up. Author's words, I stayed up late to write a chapter. The main thing is that I don't have time to write tomorrow morning. I'll write 1 chapter in advance. There are still 3 chapters left. I might combine the 3 in the afternoon or evening. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.